Hey everyone, welcome back to Polygon Perspective Podcast. My name is Serge. I'm with Ian. We're back.
Hello.
It's been a while. Been crazy time now. A lot of games coming out. A lot of games being announced.
Yeah, we picked a bad time to take a break. There's been so many announcements.
Yeah, it's crazy. I actually forgot how dense the summer is with announcements. Maybe actually this summer is a bit more busy than than some others. Maybe, actually after the COVID, a lot of studios are catching up with the game releases and announcements. So we chose to do a PlayStation showcase. Actually, we could have done all of them, but there's just so many. So instead, we have decided to compile a list each of just the games that stood out for us from some of the bigger showcases, and then we'll just talk about them like that.
Did you just catch the highlights of some of them, or were there any particular ones that you sat and watched through all of?
I watched the trailers at least for all of the ones I have highlighted. Some of them I knew already, so I didn't really watch. But before that, we're gonna start with what we've been up to, what we've been playing. I'll start with the Final Fantasy XVI. I have finished the demo. Now, by the time we're recording this, the actual game is out already. I have it installed. I haven't started playing it. So, and I thought it would be a good idea to kind of constrain my impressions to the demo, to just the demo. And this demo it's kind of like the PlayStation, what would they call it? Like PS Plus demos or PS Plus like game trials, where you're actually playing the full game, the first 2 hours of the full game. But in this case, it's actual demo as well, so you can replay it as many times as you want. And then when you finish that, you can actually do like a special challenge mode. So this is a really good thing if you want to try out Final Fantasy 16 and see what it is about and how it plays.
So totally different from the 15 demo, which was a completely unique slice.
Yeah, it's true. But although I remember 15 demo also having, it felt like a chunk of a complete game, like a vertical slice. The demo was, you were playing different things from the actual game, but the gameplay and the systems were there. So it's similar to that, I guess, but this is straight up from the start of the game, from the very start until a certain chapter, about 2 hours of gameplay.
It's pretty meaty.
Yeah, it has quite a lot. It actually has quite a few systems as well that it showcases throughout this demo. Only after playing this demo, it became clear what this actual game is about. So there was a lot of talk about, there's a lot of like Devil May Cry, maybe similar to Final Fantasy XIV. But actually, this game, it answers the question: what if you take a Game of Thrones and sprinkle a bunch of Final Fantasy in it?
Well, that's Final Fantasy Tactics.
Well, yes, actually. It is, yes. But this one is so much like Game of Thrones. And actually, I remember there was an interview where they mentioned that we were watching Game of Thrones and we were inspired by it. And I was like, that's weird, but okay. And then only until I started playing this, then I realized how much they were influenced. Just within the first few cutscenes, you get people being betrayed. There's like gratuitous gore, heads being chopped off, backstabbing, a guy motorboating some woman's breasts, like all of that, all the things you expect from a Game of Thrones type of thing is in this game. Now, I'm a fan of Game of Thrones. I love that series, right? So I'm always up for like Game of Thrones, The Witcher, all the more serious type of fantasy. So I like that. But I guess the question is that something that Final Fantasy needed, right? For me, Final Fantasy always had this very specific place that it exists with its fantasy. It's like something between the Lord of the Rings and The Witcher. It always had its own brand of fantasy, like that. I think it kind of peaked with Final Fantasy 7 and 8. This fantasy meets technology, whilst Final Fantasy 16 is more like it's so much, again, like Game of Thrones. It's a lot of grays and browns. The castles are look so generic. The visuals themselves are really nice. The animation team did really well. Everyone's so animated. Facial animations, just movement. Combat itself, combat, again, I had a worry that this would be a lot like Devil May Cry. I haven't played the latest one. Devil May Cry was not something I wanted to see in my Final Fantasy, but actually, because there's some people that worked on Dragons Dogma that are on the team of Final Fantasy 16, the combat itself feels a lot like Dragons Dogma.
Okay.
It's still action. You have your weapon. You can equip some accessories. There's no actual equipment, it's just weapon and accessories. There are abilities you can learn and equip. There's items, potions. And yeah, the battle starts, and kind of like it really reminded me of Dragon's Dogma, actually. Just the way even like the items appear, the way you use your weapon and fight the enemies. So yeah, that's kind of Final Fantasy 16, really.
So is the story pulling you in at all after the first couple hours?
So the story is, again, a lot of influence from Game of Thrones, but also Final Fantasy 14, actually, because it's kind of heavily based on icons. They even call them icons, like in Final Fantasy 14. Icons are the summons, essentially. And there's, again, the kingdoms are beefing with each other. Each of them has a dominant, which is like a person that can summon an icon and embody them. And you play as Clive, who has a brother, and the brother is the dominant who can embody the icon of Phoenix. So there's a lot of drama, like, his brother is very young, and there's a lot of expectations on him, while Clive is like, an older brother, but that wasn't chosen as a dominant. But actually, by the end of the demo, you find out that actually he has also been chosen somehow, and he embodies the icon of Ifrit. So there's a lot of even in the demo, there's a lot of like fights between icons that you control. They actually showed that off in some of the other trailers and videos, and they're a bit more staged. It's not a normal fight that you have. You don't really control their movement. It's more like on rails, and then you have to like react. You can shoot the other icon. You can dodge their attacks, and then eventually kind of culminates in these spectacular cutscenes. They're really like high production value, as you would expect from Square Enix. They're fun enough, I guess, but obviously the most of the time you'll be fighting regular battles. On the world map is kind of like it's not Final Fantasy 7 or 8 style. It's like you have the map, and then you choose where to go. Like locations are like an icons that you can choose. I'm not sure how that will continue in the final game. I'm not sure if they'll have more like a sandboxy areas where you can explore a bit more. But for now, in the demo, you kind of travel from one castle to the other. There'll be some cutscenes, some events happen, and then you have to clear the castle, and then the story continues. At some point here, for example, Clive is joined by two other guys, and they have to clear out some goblins. There were some reports of goblins in the forest, and you get a cutscene, and you're in this forest. That's actually surprising. I was surprised there's no mini map or map in general for this, for example, area, which I would have really expected that to have a map in this case in this game, but they kind of chose not to have that, which is interesting.
Did you feel like you needed it, or?
Well, actually, what I feel about maps. I think ever since Dark Souls, I kind of lean towards games not having maps, because I find it compelling to learn the environments and all the twists and turns. But this game is very, it's not an open world game, or it's not interconnected, at least not in a demo. So learning, this Goblin Village thing, you're probably not even going to come back here anymore. So learning the all the secret passageways, I don't know. I guess you could still do it, but I think I was just expected this game to have a map. It has so many other accessibility stuff. Actually, you straight from the beginning, you can choose to have special accessory rings that make it easier to fight in combat. They automate the combos. I am usually very much against accessibility, a lot of accessibility stuff. I think often they overstep their bounds, and I think definitely this is the case. You don't need to use it if you don't want to, for sure, but you can literally put a bunch of accessories on yourself that will make it, the game itself will play itself, essentially. At least that's how I see it, at least for now.
Now, when you say, so you compared the combat to Dragon's Dogma, is it the kind of game where you still get a certain level of planning in your actions? Because I feel like that's what I think is missing from what I've seen of the gameplay, is that it feels very reactionary. You encounter a group of enemies and you go and fight them. How much is there of interacting with your AI partners, or messing around with strategies ahead of time? Any kind of foresight before you go into battles? And what are the side characters like?
Yeah, so this might be a thing in the full game down the line somewhere. But for now, like for example here, the two guys, I have absolutely no control over them. And in fact, what they do doesn't really, like, I don't even expect them to heal me, for example, or provide anything that is relevant to me as a character, and I think that is as much as they said in the interviews, is that this is Clive's story and he's the main guy. I know from interviews and other videos that you will have like one support character that travels with you, as well as the dog Torgal, but they are not even, I was reading that they don't even have their own equipment. It's only Clive, and actually you can check Torgal's equipment, but other human characters that accompany you, they don't even, they really try not to view them as a party members. So it's mostly going to be Clive. So if I would imagine if there's a challenge you need to overcome or a boss, it's probably going to be by getting better with Clive and changing his equipment and his abilities. It's never going to be like, oh, I need to make sure that my partner is like well equipped and doing what they need to do. Like in Dragons Dogma. Dragons Dogma, you have your pawn and then two other pawns. Mm-hmm. So then they become quite a big. I remember they were like really instrumental in some of the fights. Like I needed, and if I was struggling in fights in Dragons Dogma, one of the things I would do is I would go back to the summoning pool and try to summon different pawns. And that was a really good balance actually in that game. Ultimately, that game you can finish it solo, like just anything else, right? You can finish that by yourself if you really want to, but the pawns provided an actual significant customization and diversity in that game. I think this game is not going to be like that. This is going to be a Clive and some, just like here, some Clive and some other people that are on screen that are like, if you actually look at what they're doing, they're barely doing anything.
So why are they there?
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure. Just maybe for like story reasons, for I don't know, maybe literally just to have a companion in the story.
Interesting.
Actually, this fight here is probably the most the AI contributed in the demo. There were other fights where Clive and one more person versus like a boss, and I literally had to, like, the boss even ignores the other. they don't even tank anything. So yeah, I mean it's definitely like a very specific choice Square Enix made with that. I think I mentioned it before, like some time ago, that this is actually one of the biggest changes, if bigger even than the combat system. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm ATB purist. I would have liked them to continue exploring ATB system and involving it and trying new things with that system like they did in Final Fantasy 13. But actually, they've been changing that for a while now, right? Final Fantasy 15 already was more like Kingdom Hearts game. So that's been changing for years now. But what hasn't been changing is that Final Fantasy was always a game where you have a party. And this is like the first one where it's really goes to the background. Like, party is not a focus, at least from my time with the demo and from what I've read.
Well, you purchased the game, right? You purchased it after playing the demo, I'm assuming. So yes. Final thoughts. What obviously this is just a small chunk of the start of the game, but are you looking forward to playing the final thing, the full thing, the Final Fantasy thing?
I mean, I am looking forward to that, and I think the demo actually helped a lot with understanding what this is and kind of putting my expectations in line.
So maybe the marketing wasn't. Do you feel like the marketing wasn't there for properly describing what this game is?
I think they did the best they could, I guess. But I think it's just that Game of Thrones comparison just did it for me. As soon as you start viewing the cutscenes and characters and the way they interact, the way they do, the way events happen, it just kind of clicks. At least it did for me. And from there, you can expect certain things from the story and the way it plays out. The gameplay is what it is. I actually was pleasantly surprised that I felt so much that it was Dragons Dogma. So that will help me personally as well. Maybe someone who likes Devil May Cry more will maybe be a bit disappointed. Although I think fans of both those games will probably find something in here they will enjoy. So yeah, I think I'll talk about this game again when I finish it. I'll have some things to say, I guess. But for now, I'm looking forward to playing it.
Okay, look forward to hearing.
Cool. Ian, we've been playing Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, we both picked it up day one, I guess, and I've been playing some online matches. You've been playing. How much have you played of it, did you say?
I've played a bunch before, and then we played together a bunch, and I haven't picked it up since, but I know I need to. I want to finish that World Tour mode, get some costumes, outfits, and kind of settle on maybe a character or two to learn. Ultimately, the roster is not my favorite. I'll be honest with you. It's probably the weakest of all of the Street Fighters I've played, which are 4, 5, 4, and 5. Well, I guess I've played 2, right? Who hasn't? But I spend most time with 4, and kind of got used to like this extensive roster. And my main is Sakura, so she's not here, and it's not even certain that she will be. I've been trying to play Kami, and what was the other one? The
Manon.
Manon, yes, that's the one. So I'm probably going to be trying them both and see how that goes. But ultimately, I'm kind of sitting there and waiting for, DLC characters. Unfortunately, I know everyone who's coming out in the DLC 1, and none of them are interesting to me. Well, I mean, Akuma is interesting, I guess. But I might be waiting quite a long time before someone shows up.
You tried all the cast yet?
I've tried them briefly.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anyone new that you've gravitated towards?
Well, the ballet dancer. I don't think has she been in any previous?
No, she's new to this one.
Yeah, so that one. Obviously, Cammy has been always in the Street Fighter games, but this is the one. I guess this is where it made sense to me to try her, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a big fighting game guy, and my favorite fighting game I think is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. But that said, I'm usually not huge on Street Fighter, at least what it's become in the past while. I never really got into 4. I really bounced hard off of 5, and you just kind of figure, okay, this is not for me. And in fact, for various reasons maybe we shouldn't get into, there's a lot of fighting games that have come out in recent years that I haven't played. It's been a long time since a fighting game came out on day one, and I really picked it up day one, got into it, and I think this is the first one where not only have I done that, but I've been playing actively online with even just random people. And as somebody who had just kind of considered that maybe Street Fighter just wasn't for me anymore, and maybe Capcom didn't have it in them to put together allocate a decent budget for a fighting game. The last fighting game they made was Marvel 3 that really clicked with me. I am really liking Street Fighter 6. I think it's cool. I think it's taking a lot of risks in a way that reminds me of Street Fighter 3, actually. I have a lot of respect for, in a genre that's known for being fairly conservative. So I'm really enjoying Guile, actually, who I hadn't really played before. Continuing Ken, who I played in Street Fighter 3. And I'm liking DJ so far as well, who I never was huge into 2, and I never really played much of 4. So again, these characters are kind of new to me. I definitely want to spend more time with the game in general. I'm kind of liking pretty much everyone that I'm trying so far.
Nice. So you've been getting online. How's that? Who are you seeing often in terms of characters there?
I feel like I'm seeing. Well, I'm at the very low rankings right now, just like bronze and iron, and I am seeing a small pool of maybe 4 or 5 characters. Not everyone. I haven't got a single Ryu yet. Everyone's trying all these new characters. I haven't got a single person who's playing Ryu. I haven't seen a lot of Guile, but apparently friends who have played a lot more than me have said at the higher level, Guile's considered one of the better characters, and you see all kinds of Guile players. So I don't know what that says, that people at the lower tiers are picking from a certain pool, and then they might change who they play and try some of the more challenging characters as they get higher up. I'm not saying that Guile's challenging, just seems that nobody plays him at the lower level.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect these games have all characters be viable, just like anyone else, even on any level. That's what I always think. I think if you're good enough, you can make anyone work, right? Like Daigo always plays Ryu, which you can say is the default guy. Maybe not the best, not the worst, but he makes him the best, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So
and these days fighting games are generally better balanced than ever. I really like what's going up this overdrive system. It's flipping a lot of conventions on its head, and it feels good. The online is really good. I've been playing with some friends in Canada and a friend in Brazil, and it's been a really good connection. So that's part of the reason I never play with random people, because the connections have never been that great, especially when you live in Canada, which is a really big country. You could have hours and hours of space between you and someone else. And if the online play isn't a perfect experience, you're going to feel that. But right now I'm playing with people across the ocean, and it's feeling pretty good. So
cool. Yeah. I'll be playing this. I will continue playing this. We'll play together again. I do want to get online. Even back in Final Fantasy. back in Street Fighter 4 days, I actually wasn't big on playing online. I actually had enough friends locally that were into Street Fighter, so we would constantly just go to each other's places and play all day and all night long. We made tournaments as well with prizes and shit. It was fun.
You bought a controller just for this game. You want to talk about it?
I guess you can briefly mention. Yeah, I just bought a Hori what's it called? Fighter Command.
Fighting Commander?
Fighting
With
Commander,
six
yeah.
button pads?
Yeah. I would normally, let's say if this was a talk about the new Tekken 8, I would probably actually just play it either with PS5 pad or whatever I have, PS4. But actually, Street Fighter is a game that you really need those 6 face buttons and a good D-pad, and this controller does it really.
Well, now you've got a better controller for when Tekken 8 comes out.
Yeah, maybe I'll use it as well. To be honest, it's good enough for that as well. It's a good controller.
Anything's gonna be better than that that default PlayStation D-pad.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I guess again with Tekken, it's I don't know. Maybe I might prefer. I'll see how it feels, but for me, Tekken historically was really convenient with the. For example, I think the best controller for Tekken actually is a PS1 controller. That's the best one.
What?
Yeah. Like the old no sticks PS1 controller.
Well, I do have a soft spot for that controller. I think there are genuinely some good things with that controller compared to modern controllers. But as somebody who uses an arcade stick to play, I don't know if I could go back for a game like Tekken.
Yeah, I used to use stick for Street Fighter. It was okay. I just never got used to it. And for Tekken, I don't know how people use a stick. That's the Tekkens don't have the input requirements Street Fighter does. There's no fireball input.
Well, how do you press square and circle in conjunction to do an input?
Oh, L1 or R1.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. It's not really a 4-button game at that point, right? You've turned it into 6 or 8 or something like that, whatever you need for these button combos.
Yeah.
Aside from that, do we want to talk about our arcade trip?
Yes, we went to the arcade. It's maybe someone will think, well, big deal, but it kind of is a bit for us because where we live, arcades are not really a big thing at all. Like, to be honest,
I've never lived anywhere where arcades are a thing, to be honest. Like post 2001, maybe.
Yeah, and certainly not in this city. And we had to travel 1 hour or like 20 minutes, 1 hour 20 by car just to get there, and we had to buy tickets. It's you buy a ticket and you can just play for like 3 hours, and there was a bunch of arcade machines there. It was fun, and what a blast from the past it was.
Yeah, I've been to quite a number of these now. Whenever I'm in big cities, I keep an eye out for them. And this is the Pixel Bunker. This one was nice. There were some really cool games, some classics, of course. Serge, you were playing Bust a Move Puzzle Bobble on the Neo Geo.
Yes, I remember because I remember playing that in arcades when I was a kid. That's one of the ones they had. They had Mortal Kombat 2, Puzzle Bobble, some other games. I think Golden Axe as well, and they had that here. So we gave that a go. It was interesting to see a lot of like historical stuff in this place, like stuff that went away, stuff that is coming back in a way now, stuff that maybe it was really shame that it went away. Like there was that game where it had like a shooting game where I was using like the Uzi, and it had like the most convincing rumble feedback ever. Yeah, I felt like I was shooting an actual machine gun.
Yeah, that was what Taito's Operation Tiger Wolf, maybe. Yeah, it was like a full steel machine gun that you're using, but it's like how do you replicate that at home? Which I guess is the whole point of the arcade, right? Especially as arcades died down and consoles could replicate the games in terms of like power. You started to see some of those later games, they're relying more on gimmicks, like light gun games, for example. Things, or DDR with the dance mat, things that you couldn't easily replicate at home.
Yeah, it's definitely coming back in a way, and I think VR as well is doing a lot of stuff like that nowadays. Actually, one of our own games, Sniper VR, has a reloading in VR that is pretty fun. It's probably something that was inspired by just thinking back to these games and our arcade machines. some of the other arcade cabinets that I thought was pretty cool was the one I think it was called Lucky and Wild, where it's a 2-player machine, and one player is controlling one gun and the other player is controlling a gun and a wheel of a car. So you're both of them. The idea is that you both are in the car and both of you can shoot and one of you can drive as well. So that was interesting.
My arcade had that as a kid, and I remember playing with my dad, and each taking turns with the wheel and the gun. Yeah, going back to that arcade and thinking about some of the titles, there are a couple cool ones that I'd never heard about before. That's one of the cool things about checking out these arcades. Is there was one, it was 720, which was this skateboarding game that had this weird joystick that couldn't quite sit in the center. It spun around a pivot, and you could use it to perform tricks on your skateboard. The game had this interesting sort of semi-open world concept where you could skate into tutorial areas and things like that. Everything was just on a timer. It's quite bizarre little ideas that you just don't normally see. The other thing is that these arcades, they're not just scouting for the best games. They're kind of scouting for any arcade games that you can get your hands on. So I feel like when Serge, when you and I look back and say, oh, you've got to play this game, you got to play this game, we tend to remember the better or the more influential games, and that's what history's going to remember. But this really was like a case of digging through any title from back in the day. So we played some good games. We played some bad games too there. You get to see a little bit of everything. And it's like a time capsule, but a time capsule so condensed where you're seeing like 20, 30 years of video game design evolution in one room. It was pretty cool.
There was definitely bad ones, like Return of the Jedi. Man, that game was bad. It's like a top-down isometric racing game where you absolutely have no time to react to anything. So you just keep crashing into trees, and I don't know how that game was approved at all. Other than that, I really enjoyed Magic Sword by Capcom. I really like it's just a simple game of like you assemble a party, you control one character, but you have a bunch of others following you, and you slash or you cast a magic spell, and the other guy does another magic spell or throws something, and it's really quick and arcadey feeling. Well, of course, it's arcade, right? So, but it felt like you could get quite far into this game just by having one credit. Actually, then we started talking about that kind of stuff and how certain things from the days of arcades are no longer possible in terms of game design, and how they had to think about that back then, right? So that idea that you have only a limited amount of credit or coins, and how do you design a game that shows its best even with that limitation, right? So how would you design a game? I think we talked about having, for example, ability to choose the level you go for every time you start the game. So instead of, let's say, if there's a game that has 10 levels, instead of having a linear progression from 1 to 10, you just need to complete all 10 levels and you can tackle any of them. Because if you are struggling with level 3, then you'll be spending a lot of coins just getting from 1 to 3 and repeating that cycle, and maybe that would discourage you from playing that game because you would never see levels 4 to 10, right? So having that kind of level structure would help as well. It's an interesting thing to think about because that's not something you would often think about in nowadays, even when you're making an indie game, because obviously all games nowadays you can just play as much as you want, right? If you have the game, you can play it.
And even at these arcades, most of them are free play these days, these modern arcades and barcades and things like that. And players will often they'll credit feed through a game. And so to this day, when I play arcade games through emulation or through, literally I own some arcade hardware at home, I'm often thinking about things like, what is the intended way to play through this? Or what is maybe not even intended, but what's the best way for me to play through this? Because the best arcade games slowly open up over time, I think. That nobody ever went up to a machine with $40 in their pocket and played through the entire thing in one go. You actually would have had a terrible time doing that because you'd be constantly butting your head up against the difficulty and sliding more money in. I mean, really the thing to do is just almost like a roguelike, to keep returning to the game over time and getting better at it and learning more about the ins and outs of the game.
Yeah, I was going to say actually roguelike would be a game that you could finish and then still want to play again, right, in an arcade. Yeah. But I think roguelikes, the way they became nowadays, and especially since the Indie Revolution, they weren't quite like that back then. Not quite there yet, I think. But yeah, like if today you had to like make a arcade cabinet with a newer game, then yeah, some of the indie roguelikes would be probably the game you would choose.
Yeah, I mean, there's some lineage in there, especially because these days roguelike tends to mean any kind of genre game that is wrapped around the structure of a roguelike. Oftentimes it's like an action game with graphics. But it used to be that a roguelike was a very specific kind of turn-based role-playing game with like ASCII graphics and that sort of thing. But I think in some ways the roguelike mentality is what people need to bring to these arcade games. I mean, to this day, you can boot up, you can buy arcade games on Steam or on Switch, and they're automatically set to free play, or you could just put in as many credits as you want. And how do you know what the right experience is? It's something I'm thinking about as well, because when I think about gaps in Serge's knowledge versus my knowledge as a game player, I've played a lot of arcade games, and there's quite a few that I like to show on here on the show. It's mostly a case of thinking about like how are we going to present these with like an hour format, because I don't think you should walk up to an arcade and spend an hour playing just one game and cramming a ton of money in, right? So it's something where I think we need to think more about how these games should be experienced, and then find something that works around that kind of structure. But it's something that I think to this day, maybe people jump in to an arcade game, slam a ton of credits in, credit feed it, cheese it, and then claim that, oh, arcade games aren't good, or they have bad game design, or things like that.
No, yeah, there's something we'll have on the show for sure. And I think logically thinking, it's probably going to be an hour spent on, let's say, three different games, so 20 minutes each. That's probably what makes sense the most. But we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves. It's definitely something we want to bring to the show, but we'll announce it when that comes in. Cool. That was our trip to arcade. We're going to switch to the news section where we'll go to our individual lists of games that stood out for us from the showcases, and we'll see you there. Right, let's do this. I'll go first. I have a list here.
I only have like a couple games, to be honest. But well, like I did look, and there was just a couple that really stuck out to me.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about those, and then like odds are whatever you bring up, I'm going to have opinions about it too. So that's fine.
Okay, sweet. So then I'll start with the Summer Game Fest, hosted by Jeff Keighley, of course. Had a bunch of games. Actually had developers as well come in and talk about their games. A bit more of like a classic E3 experience, I guess, there. So Path of Exile was shown, Path of Exile 2. I played the first game, I want to say about 70%. I don't know why I never finished it, but I played quite a bit of that game. It came out around the time that Diablo 3 came out, and it really looked like what I wanted Diablo 3 to look, which was not a good look for Diablo 3. Ian, have you played this game? The first one?
Yeah, I played a bit of it. I think I remember paying $10 or $15 or something to get into the beta. And the idea is that it would get you $10 or $15 of in-game currency anyway. And yeah, I mean, the whole selling point seemed to be if you didn't like Diablo 3, if you wanted a sequel to Diablo 2, this was your game. It never clicked with me for probably a lot of like minuscule reasons, and I never really picked it up again, but I'd be interested in trying the concept again.
Yeah, I really can't say anything that I felt was wrong with it. I never got to the deep end game, so I might actually revisit it or just play this second game. We'll see. Then Lies of Pi got a new trailer.
Lies of P.
Lies of P. P or Pi, I guess P. So it's a Souls-like set in... Actually, not sure if it's set in like just medieval times or sort of a steampunky kind of setting. You play as, I guess,
Pinocchio.
Yeah, Pinocchio.
Right?
Pinocchio, right? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now it makes sense. Lies and Pinocchio. Yeah, Souls-like, pretty much. Had a few trailers by now, but all of them kind of point towards it being, yeah, like a Souls-like Bloodborne type of thing.
It's out now, isn't it?
Is it out? I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah, I think they announced it last year, and the reviews are in, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably out.
Well, I haven't played it yet, so that's the one I'm interested in. Then Sandland, a new RPG from, well, not from, but using Toriyama's art. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I read the comics, so This was a shocker because it really is just like a 5-volume manga that Toriyama made.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, it's these Dragon Ball games that Ben and Namco put out. They're usually like middling to decent. So if this is anything like those, then it could be good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, Toriyama's art for me, I have mixed feelings. I'm gonna talk about that actually in the Dragon Quest V gameplay. But yeah, it's looks interesting. Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden, a new game by Don't Nod, due out at the end of the year. So this, it's hard to say what this will be. It looks like third-person action game. I'm interested in this because it's Don't Nod.
We are banishers.
What else have they done?
They've done Life is Strange
Okay, yeah.
and Remember Me and some other games. So I'm looking forward to that just based on their pedigree. I really like Life is Strange, is one of my favorite games. So I'm going to be checking this out. Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name. I can't say this whole title with a straight face because the Like a Dragon games, Yakuza games, are getting to really strange territory. So this game, not to be confused with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is so this the man who raised his name, Kiryu, that is his name by the way, is some sort of bridge between Yakuza 6 and Like a Dragon 8. Whilst the Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is, I think, like a Dragon 9.
It's Yakuza 8. It has an infinite in the title card because it's an 8.
No, Like a Dragon 8 already came out. Or
No,
wait.
no, Yakuza 7 is out. So this is Yakuza 8, Infinite Wealth, infinite because it's 8.
Yeah. So 2 Yakuza games are being released. Kiryu looks, young AF. Keeps getting younger. That's like the running joke of these games. I guess this is some sort of prequel or some sort of flashback game, but still, even like in Yakuza 6, he's still it's like a Heihachi situation.
I'm not caught up on these, so
Yeah, I haven't played all of them. Mostly my partner plays. She loves those games, so I just end up just sitting there watching her play. I am interested in playing Yakuza 7, which is the first game that has the new protagonist, and it's the first game that switches to the JRPG ATB system, actually, which was a really big surprise when they announced that. So I guess now what they're essentially doing is they have 2 kind of parallel Yakuza games running, one with the old system, which is like a beat 'em up, and one with the newer, which is like ATB. So yeah, that's been announced. So that kind of concludes my highlights from Summer Game Fest. Then let's go to Nintendo Switch. I initially thought nothing there will kind of be interesting to me too much. I was absolutely wrong. Star Ocean Second Story R arrives on November 2. Wow, I did not expect this. I'm really looking forward to this. Star Ocean 2 was a game of my childhood. I played that game so many times, which actually makes sense because that game has a very interesting way it deals with being able to play it again. It has interesting system for the party where you first choose one of the 2 main characters, and then from there it locks certain characters that can join you based on that, and also based on who you choose from the rest of them. So if you choose character A as to join your party, then character B would not gonna like that and they're not gonna join. So essentially what that means is that you end up with a party on one playthrough, and you can end up with a party of completely different people second time you play. And certain story elements changes based on that as well. And in this remake, they're actually doing a lot of work for visual work. They're essentially turning this into a 2.5D game, like Octopath Traveler and stuff like that. So this looks really nice, and I'm looking forward to this. Other than that, Persona 5 Tactica. I need to catch up with Persona. I've only played the second one.
only the second one. Interesting.
Yeah. But not only do I like Persona, but also I really need to play 3, 4, 5 because I really want to need to see what it is that actually what this game does that still keeps people interested in ATB, and that's something I really think about a lot. I keep mentioning it. That's, is really impressive. I mean, this game in particular, Persona 5 Tactica, is a tactical game, and it's like a chibi art style, which is not my favorite, but it's still, still a new title in the Persona universe. And last thing for Nintendo for me was Super Mario RPG, I guess remake.
Yeah.
I never played that one initially, so Mario is, take it or leave for me. But I do want to try the one RPG they ever had with him. Still, yes.
No, there's the entire, this is the entire Mario and Luigi RPG series, of which there's probably about 5 games.
Wait, what are they called?
Mario and Luigi.
Oh, that's an RPG.
Like Superstar Saga, Bowser's Inside Story, Partners in Time, Paper Jam, which is a crossover with the Paper Mario series, which are more or less all RPGs. And there's, I think, about 5 of those.
So was this the first RPG they tried with Mario?
Yes. However, you might be interested in this one because it was made by Squaresoft.
Ah, okay, yeah. I mean, this sounds like the one I should play.
Yeah. I mean, it's beloved for a reason. It looks like a great remake. I like that they've preserved something about the way that they've done art. Preserves the pre-rendered kind of look of things.
Right. Yeah.
It's quite appealing.
Cool. That's that for Nintendo for me. Next is Xbox. So Xbox had quite a few things they showed. A lot of these showcases, you'll have it's Xbox right now, but a lot of these games are coming for all platforms. It's just that they chose to showcase that on Xbox. And also some of the games that were announced elsewhere, I'm not going to mention here because, for example, some of the stuff we talked about and watched during PlayStation, there's no point in me talking about them again. So I've said they're not going to be in this list. So Xbox had, I don't know how to pronounce this one, Avowed. Avowed. There you go. New game from Obsidian. I was really surprised to see this one. It's a first-person, essentially a Skyrim clone. Obsidian's take on that. So looks really good, actually. I'm up for a new Skyrim type of game. Not many developers kind of tackle that, but there you go. Obsidian is coming out with this.
Do we know if it's an open world thing? I think it's just like a first-person RPG, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they said that or not. In the trailer, it's not clear. It's a really early to reveal. I think it had gameplay, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was mostly cutscene, I guess. It was clear that it was a first-person magic / sword type of game. That's why it immediately reminded me of Skyrim. But yeah, looking forward to that one. Next, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. I'm a big fan of Ninja Theory, but only up till Enslaved. Enslaved was so good.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I love that game.
Great game.
Have you finished it as well?
No, I never fit. I think I had an issue with my save file or something on my Xbox 360, which I don't own anymore. I put a lot of time into it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they do so much with so little. Like, they have like 3 characters, essentially, and one of them only you get much later. But the performances are so good, and the gameplay is enough to keep you interesting and traversal. Just a great game. The setting as well. And I just wish they would make another game like that. I haven't played Senua's Sacrifice, I think the first game. I want to play it, and I know that they did some interesting things with certain gameplay elements and psychological stuff, but I just feel like they really have been kind of going hard on the whole mental health aspect of things. I know that Senua herself is struggling with some sort of mental health issue, and they kind of build the entire game based around that, as far as I know. And I guess this will continue that.
Did you play DMC Devil May Cry?
No, I have not.
Not a bad game, but it is no Devil May Cry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I want to check it out, but honestly, kind of like if you think about it, since Enslaved has been so long, and they kind of taking a while to make these games, to be honest. Like, they've been bought by Microsoft, I think, some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
They're
that's
doing some VR stuff, I think.
moving on. Fallout 76 gets another update, major update. I'm just mentioning it here because I've been playing 76 when it came out for a while now, and I might as well just jump in once this update comes out, see what's new. I've actually enjoyed my time with Fallout 76 before and after the big change they made. That is before and after they introduced they brought back all the NPCs. I actually think it's that moment when I was playing Final 76 without NPCs was one of the more interesting moments. Like that choice they made to release that game without NPCs and justify it with the lore, it was actually quite bold and brave. Ultimately, of course, now we know that they kind of went back on that, but the way they tried to construct the story to keep you moving forward with notes and recordings and stuff like that was really interesting. But ultimately, the more I played, the more it was clear that it didn't make any sense that there's nobody there and everything still like functions, or it was a jarring experience, honestly. It didn't last too long. I think with one of the early big updates, they brought back a lot of NPCs, and now I think that's full of them. But yeah, I'm just glad to see that it's still being updated. It wasn't a bad game otherwise. Starfield, of course, can't ignore that. I think ultimately I will play this game. One thing that kind of helped me to feel a bit better about this game is that it was confirmed that romance is going to be actually a thing. I'm sorry, I know maybe for some people it's not a thing at all, but for me it's important. And unfortunately, you can only romance 4 characters. You can explore like 1,000 planets, but only 4 people are willing to do the deed with you. So well, at least 4 is more than 0, so at least there's that. Then of course Cyberpunk expansion Final Liberty was announced. I mean, I've played Cyberpunk about 70% in, kind of stopped and decided to wait till things get fixed, maybe an expansion, which of course they announced. So now I'm just gonna wait till expansion comes out and finish up that game. Atlas announced Metaphor ReFantasio.
Yeah, it's very creative names.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very Persona looking game from the same team, really.
Yeah.
Really looks like a Persona game, like a spin-off of Persona. Yeah,
I'm quite excited for that one. Little's pointed at how similar it is to Persona, though, because they announced it several years ago under Project ReZero, different title, and it sounded like it was going to be quite ambitious. So I don't know if I got swindled or if they just scaled back and went with what they knew. But yeah, at least at first glance, it looks quite similar. I'll have to keep an eye on it. Those menus look so good. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, they look like Persona, right? Whether or not that's your jam. You know what I think about very stylized street graffiti, purple things like that. It's not quite as that, not quite Street Fighter 6, but I don't know. I think my personal favorite is, of course, Final Fantasy Classic, blue windows, gloved hand. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it could still be ambitious, I guess. It's very clear that it was from Persona team. Visually really similar. Then In Exile announced a Clockwork Revolution, a first-person an FPS essentially that looks really like a Bioshock kind of game. A lot of clockwork robots, steampunk. In Exile coming in with an FPS really surprised me, to be honest. They've been mostly doing kind of isometric, old school Baldur's Gate style games. So I'm interested to see how they will handle this. The trailer looks interesting, so I'm looking forward to this.
I mean, it looks so similar to Bioshock Infinite that there was some controversy over it. Someone who edited the marketing trailers, I think, for Bioshock Infinite, was pointing it out, like similarities to the point of plagiarism. And I think In Exile or Microsoft made an official statement saying that any similarities are coincidental.
Well, I guess they would say that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully there's no actual plagiarism. I would be very surprised if they would, had access to assets. Although I don't know, maybe they would. But
I don't think it'd be assets, but maybe just inspiration to the point of, well, quite flattering to Rational Games. Let's put it that way. I don't think that's illegal. I don't think it's illegal or anything, but
no, I mean obviously it would be bad look. But actually, this game reminded me a lot more of Life of P, actually, than Bioshock.
yeah.
Life of P and this game might as well be in the same universe. They're so similar looking. But yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. Moving on. Elder Scrolls Online's new expansion, Necrom. Again, mentioned it because I have been playing that game when it came out and for a while. It's a full-on MMO set in Elder Scrolls universe, and what stood out to me when I was playing is that they really were able to create single-player focused stories in that game, even though it was an online MMO. Similarly to Final Fantasy XIV, they made sure that they knew that the crowd that will be coming into this are fans of the Elder Scrolls games, which were single player. So they made sure that to have quite a lot of content for you to do by yourself. So I always appreciated that. I haven't played in a while, and I keep thinking of picking it up again. I might do that with this expansion. We'll see. And to round, actually no, there's a couple more. So Chinese Room have announced Still Wakes the Deep, which is this amnesia-looking oil rig horror game. Looks interesting. First person, you kind of explore. I guess something went wrong on this oil rig. I'm sure something really disturbing, and you're there to explore it and find out what happened. I'm up for any sort of horror game, so this looked really nice from the Chinese Room. Fable, of course, finally coming out, I guess. Hopefully.
Is it? Did they announce the release date?
Oh, did they not? I
mean, they didn't even show any gameplay.
Oh,
and they announced the game about what, 4 years ago?
Yeah. It's been announced ages ago, but there's something new with Fable this time around. So let's hope something comes out of this. We have actual colleagues that moved on to develop their game as well. So I'm hoping that this will turn into something interesting. And to round up, Xbox Persona 3 Reload was also showcased or announced finally. It was actually leaked. But they finally announced it officially. A remake of Persona 3, a full remake at this time. But one thing I find interesting is that they are not including the extra stuff from the FES and the other remakes. So the main thing is that the female protagonist is not going to make it to this game, which is really strange, and they've been called out on that, and they said, well, this is we're trying to do a faithful Persona 3 remake, but I mean, that's not, there's no reason for you not to include everything that's been added to this game up till now, right?
I played 3 on PSP, so yeah, that it is disappointing.
Yeah, that idea that you have to keep some sort of purity to the original game. I mean, there may be some certain games that would maybe need that, but certainly not this. The subsequent ports added stuff. I know that Persona 3 PSP, it added the female protagonist, but they also, I think, they removed the ability to move around the world in 3D. I think they switched to so I guess maybe that you could not bring in, but you could you could certainly bring the female protagonist. I just, it's so weird that when they said that.
You would hope that the remake could be the ultimate version of the definitive version of the game, but already it isn't sounding like it's going to be the definitive version of the game. So maybe you should just play one of the other versions for cheaper.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part. It does feel like that, right? It's like if you're waiting for the definitive version, this might not be it. It's crazy. All right, that was Xbox. Ubisoft, man, Ubisoft Showcase. What a blast from the past. Complete with dancers, highly cringe moments.
Hey, you yearned for E3 and you got it.
Yes.
Right?
I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, this is what I was talking about, and here it is. And honestly, I'm all for it. Yeah, bring it on. It was fun. Standouts are Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Still want to see the other type of Prince of Persia, which is, I guess, being in development. This one is the side-scrolling one. A lot of combos in this one, which I did not expect. If you want to combo mixed with Prince of Persia, I guess this is a game for you. Otherwise, looks nice. Apparently from the Rayman people. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
yeah. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Again, I would have liked a full remake of the first game, but this might be the closest we will get. It's not Altair, but it's someone else. I actually forgot his name. But it's back to Persia, I guess, and maybe back to some of the Assassin's Creed mechanics that kind of were there in the beginning, and maybe bring down the fat of some of the later games. So yeah, might check this one out. I haven't played Assassin's Creed since the first one, and certainly the latest ones were like, I don't know, I kept feeling, there's this feeling that they just use the name for any type of game they're making these days, and it's an Assassin's Creed game. And of course, Star Wars Outlaws was announced and some gameplay was shown. Ian, what do you think about this one?
So I only skimmed the Ubisoft conference. I watched all the Prince of Persia bits. I just happened to tune in at that time. I saw a bit of the Outlaws stuff. I think it looks all right. I think it's cool to see other companies take a stab at Star Wars after EA had exclusive rights to it for many, many years. You can tell that they're using. So from what I understand, some of the people who worked on Beyond Good and Evil 2, which maybe is happening, maybe isn't happening. I don't know. It's been in development for like 14 years at this point, or something like that. Some of those people have worked on Star Wars Outlaws, and you can tell by the way that, well, just from the gameplay that was shown, and comparing it to the last Beyond Good and Evil 2 gameplay, probably about 5 years ago, whenever we got it, the tech and the similarities in gameplay are striking. That you can just take off from a planet in full real time and move to outer space stuff, which is pretty cool to see, honestly.
Yeah, that was impressive, and that was the one thing that stood out to me, because otherwise I felt like it was all right. Some cover shooting, some doing some environmental traps and hazard. Otherwise, it was, I don't know. I felt like I was waiting for something interesting to kind of happen, and it only happened at the end where they flew off with the ship. I was never, historically, I've never really was never interested in the space battle part of Star Wars. So when they flew into space and started shooting, I was like, well, this is not going to be, that part of the game is not going to be for me. But it's Star Wars, and it looks interesting enough to check it out. So I'm looking forward to this one. Cool. So that was Ubisoft. Capcom. I'm not going to talk too much about Dragons Dogma 2 because we talked about it in the previous episode, but just going to mention that is one of my, I'm looking forward to that game really hard. It's like top 3 of games I'm looking forward to. So apart from that, they showed off Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess on an Unreal Engine, actually, and this game looks really interesting. It's so dreamy looking, or so kind of like, I don't know. It looks like it's set in feudal Japan, and it's I guess a third-person character action game. But apart from that, it's really hard to say what kind of game this is going to be. It has a lot of crazy-looking creatures and yeah, I don't know. It looks interesting for sure. Pragmata was shown off a bit, but also delayed. They had a quick trailer, and they had to announce that this game is being delayed.
That's the second time they've
unfortunately. But actually, the trailer that did have actually showed quite a bit. It showed that this will pretty much be a game where you control this spacesuit wearing man, and you are traveling with this small child, and it's that kind of reminded me of, I guess, God of War, maybe. I mean, maybe not that, because in God of War, Atreus is, he's fighting with you, right? He's quite active in that game. But this one is more like you just have her. Actually, this reminded me of Enslaved, right? Where you were carrying Trip on your back as Monkey, and
yeah,
they had certain gameplay elements associated with that.
It's nice to see a big company like Capcom announcing 2 completely new IPs, or not announcing, I guess they already announced Bayonetta, but showing off two completely new IPs because, well, I mean, Capcom digs pretty deep into sequel territory, but so does every big company making quadruple A games at this point, right? So nice, nice to see.
Yeah. Exoprimal. And this game, I was like, I was so, I guess I wasn't paying enough attention, and I thought this was going to be like, some sort of Dino Crisis situation. No. It has something to do with dinosaurs, but this is a crazy looking game.
Well, this game comes out like next month. There's already been an open beta.
Yeah, right. So it's like, it's a co-op shooter, and the dinosaurs are like partly robots, and it's definitely not what I was expecting. Not even sure. Yeah, I don't know. It looks, I guess, interesting, but it's weird when you expect something and it's a completely different thing. But yeah, so that's Capcom. We'll finish this off with a PC showcase. So obviously this doesn't have a lot of stuff that was also announced for PC in other showcases. So I tried to kind of focus on something I missed or something that was only on PC. So a couple of old school RTS games have been announced and showcased. One of them is Dwarf, which is, man, this game looks so much like Command and Conquer game, to the point of like,
Does it have the live action cutscenes?
Well, no, they didn't show that, but the actual gameplay, the way units move, the way the graphics look, it's so like Red Alert and Command and Conquer, and I'm all for it. I guess it's three sci-fi factions, and they duke it out. So I'm going to be checking that out, and as well as Stormgate, and this one looks a lot like Warcraft 3, like a lot like Warcraft 3.
I think this is by ex-Blizzard people, isn't it? Something, or I have a friend who plays StarCraft 2 still very seriously, and he was raving about how this is going to be. This is being balanced with competitive Warcraft 3 and StarCraft players in mind.
They were definitely positioning it like that. They, even with this just reveal or a trailer, they already had like esports style commentators commenting on it, so they definitely want this to be that, and it looks nice. So I'm going to be checking it out. Next one is PAX Day, a game I think from Finland, and this one tries to be EVE Online in a medieval fantasy setting. So they're making this like a very player driven, out of player agency, do what you want kind of thing. I've never been interested in playing EVE Online. I don't dislike the idea of that. So maybe a game that is set in a medieval fantasy, maybe something I would try. Maybe it's really early, and it's hard to say how this game can play out and what are the more interesting parts of it. But it's something I wanna keep following and see if I can play that when it comes out. Then another game was announced, Ferocious. This one is the game that I maybe wanted Exoprimal to be, because this is an FPS set in an island full of dinosaurs, and these dinosaurs are just dinosaurs. They're not like robot enhanced or anything. They just look like dinosaurs, and has a lot of Crysis and Far Cry vibes. And so essentially Crysis with dinosaurs, and I like Crysis and I like dinosaurs, so looking forward to this game as well. Looks interesting. Lords of the Fallen wasn't announced, but had a new trailer, I guess, gameplay. We talked about this before, I'm sure if on podcast or offline, but Lords of the Fallen second game. First one, Lord of the Fallen, it's weird. It's this is the second game, and they only added like a lords. It looks good, right? It looks visually looks nice. Gameplay looked nice as well, right? But something didn't quite feel right to me with the first game. Maybe it came out too close to the Dark Souls, and I was too busy playing those. But maybe I'll give this one a go. We'll see how it goes. What else? Miasma Chronicles by Mutant Year Zero developers. Looks like some sort of tactical game. really hard to say what actually it is about. It's apparently you play as someone called Elvis and Diggs, and you journey through New America. So after some sort of post-apocalyptic setting. Then Altered Alma, which is a 2D pixel Metroidvania. Looks really cyberpunky.
I don't think I got this show because these all sound new to me.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of gore and kind of like fast-paced combat. So then last game on this list is the Invincible. I think it's coming out on everything, but this is where I saw this. Based on a 1950s book, and it looks really nice. Actually, I'm looking forward to this one. Have you seen any of the Invincible?
No, I haven't.
Looks really nice. It's based on the novel by Stanislaw Lem, a Polish author.
He did Cyrus?
Yes.
Okay, looks pretty story driven.
Yeah. I haven't read the book, but as far as I know, like the general idea, it's really like compelling, where it's about maybe, again, I don't want to like, I haven't read the book, but I think it's about humanity's like drive to be everywhere, but then they found this planet that is absolutely inhospitable, and there's nothing you can do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a place, this idea that humans can go anywhere, can be anywhere, and they have to be anywhere. But this planet is so alien and so inhospitable that there's just, you cannot survive it. There's nothing you can do. You just need to leave it alone. And that idea that humans, it's in their nature to not be able to do that, right? Explore everything, go anywhere. Something is for us anywhere, right? So I think that's, at least that's in the book. I'm not sure how the game will handle this.
That sounds compelling.
Yeah. And I'm gonna round this up with a few things that weren't in any of the showcases I found. Maybe they were just announced or showcased separately by themselves. I was looking at Cry Machina, which is a new game by Furyu Corporation. They have been making these JRPGs for a while now. They've made things like Crystar, Caligula Effect, and recently Train the Trigger. I've been meaning to get into their games, and maybe I'll get into them with this one. It looks kind of like Nier, I guess, that kind of stuff. Very anime look. And I'll finish off with something called Eternites, which is another kind of action RPG. Really looks like a Nier / Persona type of thing. Yeah. So yeah, these are the games that stood out to me. Quite a few games. Ian, you mentioned that your list might just have things already in my list. Do you have anything that hasn't been mentioned?
You've covered quite a bit. The two that stuck out that weren't covered there for me. The first one is Super Mario Wonder. I am a sucker for classic Mario games, and this one looks quite good. It has been a while since we got a new classic side-scrolling Mario game. In recent years, Nintendo's put out the Mario Maker games, where you can make and share your own levels. And I think a lot of people felt like, can Nintendo even release another classic side-scrolling 2D Mario game when fans can create infinite amount of content themselves and share it with each other? So they've announced a new one, which I'm quite happy about, because I've checked out Mario Maker, and while anyone can be a level designer, most people playing the game are not going to put a ton of work or effort into their levels. To be honest, those who do, there is a rating system, and you can check out the most popular stuff. I find that what people like the most about Mario Maker is not making Mario-style levels. They like using Mario as a construction piece to step outside the box of traditional Mario levels. So you often get levels where, stand still and the level will play itself, and it'll take you through an obstacle course. Or sometimes you'll see things like people really stretching the limitations and making Ghost House style levels with elaborate puzzles you need to complete. And those are cool, but what I really want is like a collection of levels revolving around a motif and things like that. That's what Nintendo's putting out. The game looks beautiful, looks fantastic. I saw someone comparing shots from the last Mario Brothers game, the side-scrolling one, to the newest one, and the other one is like 3D models that they're posing, like 2D characters, and this new one feels like I'm sure it's 3D, but it like they have composed each character as a 2D character should look, like in a piece of animation or something. They're really nicely framed. Characters have frames of surprise when they go through a warp pipe or something like that. That only lasts for a couple frames. It feels like an animated Mickey Mouse cartoon or something like that. So it looks great. It's going to be 4-player co-op, and the Mario games are always really great fun to play with people. So it's going to be comfort food for me, but I'm quite looking forward to it.
So wait, so is this also a Mario Maker thing where you can actually create your levels, or is this just not at all?
No, it's just a classic style,
Right.
same kind of thing they've been making since the NES days. And there's going to be some new power-ups, and there's some kind of topsy-turvy sort of level-changing effects that are going on in here. It's not going to be anything you haven't really seen before, but it's going to be fun. And it's been a while since we had one of these.
Cool.
And the other big one is Baby Steps. Do you see this one? This is from
Yeah. Like, what?
so this is from Better Foddy, who did Quap, Getting Over It, and I think he worked on Ape Out as well. So he's made a lot of really cool games. He really likes exploring physics and the physicality of games. He likes extrapolating the minutia of things. So whereas most games would make something like controlling a character as frictionless as possible and focus on larger things like adventuring or things like that, he kind of dials things back and takes a magnifying glass and says, what if the game was just about controlling the character? And so Baby Steps, thematically, it looks like it's a story about a man baby, like some kind of guy who's leaving the house for the first time in 20, 30 years or something like that. And, you know, he's slobbish. And the gameplay looks a little bit like something like Death Stranding, but with way more quirky, clunky physics. Way more struggling against just moving through your environment, and it has Better Foddy's classic humor. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I saw the thing and I was like, is this a joke? This must be a joke. It's not some sort of lol or something.
Yes, I mean his games are funny, but yeah, I mean the gameplay is funny. It's for people who, you know, if you've ever played a game like Katamari Damacy.
I
You
have
played that
not.
one?
No, I have not.
No? Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, his stuff is always inventive and unique and surprising and fun.
I've played a lot of, I actually forgot what it's called, but it's the one where you have to climb on top of each other and as far as you can, and there's like usually you play it with co-op. It's a party game essentially. You stick to each other, and you have like dangling dongs, wearing speedos, and
Oh yeah.
I forgot how it's called actually.
Yeah, I know the one.
Something friends. I don't know.
Sausage Friends.
No, I'll look it up and I'll put it.
Okay.
But yeah, that one. Around that time or a bit afterwards, the Getting Over It came out, and I remember like, wow, this is, for me, those kind of games are like, they're fun for like 5 minutes. Like, do I want to spend? I don't know. Maybe they're just not for me. But yeah, if I'm with my friends, I would enjoy them. But if I'm alone, man, the idea of playing that kind of game is, I don't know. Yeah. Right.
I'll let you know if there's something to enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Is that it from you then?
Yeah.
Cool.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually make a list for this podcast of these games, and I want to see if sometime down the line we can kind of revisit this list and see if we played any of these games and what we think about them compared to what our first impressions were and what we were expecting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it will be in the podcast, and I will come back to this at some point. Cool. That's it for the first couple of sections. We will take a break and come back with the first game. That will be Dragon Quest V.
Dragon Quest V, yeah. Hey, we're back with Dragon Quest V.
Dragon Quest V. Now, Ian, you'll have to tell me why 5. I know that
Why 5?
I know that I think these games were made to go in like 3-game arcs, I think, right? So was it 4, 5, and 6 were kind of the same setting, or am I mistaken on that?
They share some mythology, but I wouldn't really think of them as a trilogy. They're not connected.
Right.
No.
So it's more like Final Fantasy then.
Yeah. They're not particularly connected. I mean, why 5? I mean, why Final Fantasy VI? Why Final Fantasy VII? Right? 5 is my favorite. To be fair, I am not a Dragon Quest aficionado. I haven't played like all of them.
Okay.
But I've played through. I played through 3, 4, 5, and 11, the newest one. Okay. And out of those, and those are generally considered the cream of the crop. Some of the best in the series. And out of those, 5 is easily my favorite. So.
Now, I have never finished a Dragon Quest game, and for me, there's actually several reasons why I kind of stayed away from them, and maybe you can dispel some of them. Now, how important is like monster collecting in these games? Because I know there's like a offshoot from Dragon Quest called Dragon Quest Monsters, I think, where they really go deep in that. But in the mainline titles, is collecting monsters a big part of this game?
It's totally optional.
Right.
This was the first one to introduce it, and yeah, I think this. I guess SMT had been around before this. There've been a couple SMT games. This is the first one to introduce monster catching, and you can make monsters into party members. That said, there is a full party you can get of human NPCs that have full personalities and things like that. So it's a totally optional element, this game.
I think another thing that kind of always stood out to me is, of course, Toriyama's artwork. I think for me, it will always be associated with Dragon Ball for the most part. So whenever I see it in other games, like famously Chrono Trigger and stuff, I can't help but see Dragon Ball in that. I cannot help it. So every time I need to get over it, but I don't know. Yeah, it's the same thing with like that Sandland RPG that was announced. I just keep seeing like Dragon Ball characters running around.
Well, you know, that's based on a different Toriyama property, right? So he's allowed to make other comics at the very least.
Yeah, I guess. So after getting over that, and the collecting monsters, which is, something I'm not against collecting monsters as well, to be honest. I guess I had a worry that maybe that would be a bigger part of the game than I'll be comfortable with, but we'll see how that goes.
Something that we miss as Westerners is that Dragon Quest has Toriyama, who's a big deal in Japan, and then also the composer of the series was a big name movie composer. He composed a lot of film soundtracks and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think Yuji Horii, before the Dragon Quest games came out, he had done like the Portopia serial case. I think that's what it's called. They just recently localized it, but it's an adventure game series that was quite popular on, I think, PCs and the Famicom back in the day. So he was already a bigger name game developer. So this game was kind of like a big collaboration of different people outside the games industry. So it's kind of destined for success.
Right. And I guess the last thing I want to ask you about these games in general is, and maybe specifically this one, is the whole breeding part. Honestly, it's so jarring to me. Well, not breeding, getting married and having kids, and then those kids, you play as those kids. That whole, I really struggle to kind of understand why that was even necessary for these JRPGs. Like, first of all, from the perspective of, the main bad guy, let's say, are they gonna wait till the kid grows up and it's still the same, or do they actually kind of weave that into the story and it makes sense?
It's woven into the story in a way that makes really good sense. Right, this game is incredibly memorable. It's not like a super literary game that doesn't have incredibly high ambitions. It's a very simple story, but it's an incredibly good one, I think. Yeah. And the way it handles that stuff is very good. I mean, this game starts with you being born, and it covers your entire life in adulthood. This is the only Dragon Quest game that does that. In some ways, I know Dragon Quest
get a bad rep for being the same across every game, but I think it changes quite a bit in a totally different way from something like Final Fantasy. In Dragon Quest, the setting and the core gameplay and the visuals are similar across each one, but Yuji Horii usually isn't the director of the games. Usually he is the lead writer. And Dragon Quest plays structure. So in this game, it covers your entire life in adulthood. And in the next game, Dragon Quest VI, it covers a light world and a dark world that you can shift between. And in Dragon Quest IV, you control each separate party member on their own little 3-5 hour adventure before they all join up with the hero at the end of the game.
Now that sounds cool. So were you saying that the whole marriage and children thing was definitely this game's main thing and not really others?
Yeah. At the time, it was quite unique. I'm not sure there was any other game that had really tackled that kind of stuff before. And as far as I know, it's the only one of the series that's done it.
Yeah, I guess for me, like when it goes past you finding, I was talking about in Starfield, I'm looking forward to romance, but the thing is, like, for me, it gets to that point. For me, I expect to get to a point to romance somebody and get together with somebody, but not really anything past that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I feel about having then a marriage and the kids and everything and a mortgage. I know there's some other JRPGs that I think there was one called Conception, I think, and that whole game is based around like breeding and having like a harem and then like an army of your or like your children or something. Sounds like this game doesn't take it that far, but
no, it's not really built into the mechanics so much. It's just more the natural progression of party members that you get through the game are tied to you in more meaningful ways than just adventurers. You didn't capitalize, dude.
What's his default name? I actually forgot to ask you.
Yeah, what is it? I think it might be Cain.
Cain?
Or Abel.
Oh.
Cain or Abel, something like that, something biblical.
Oh.
Imagine hearing that in Keanu Reeves' voice. Yes, this is the DS remake that you're playing. This game came out on Super Nintendo originally. Wasn't localized in the West. This is I think the only version that's been localized in the West. So I had this on the DS back in the day. And I'm quite fond of this remake. I like the way it looks. The original looks pretty rough for a Super Nintendo game. This one looks excellent. Reminds me of a PS1 game. Actually, it's quite similar to the Dragon Quest VII look. Also, the game adds another choice of a wife that you can marry.
Wait, so you can have like more than one wife?
You can have more than one. You can have your choice of two, and then three in the remake, or in this remake.
Can you have more than one at the same time, though?
No,
oh.
No.
All right. I imagined all of that, I guess. Nice. Yeah, so have you played the other versions at all to kind of give some sort of, idea of the differences?
I looked at the PS2 version, which is a full 3D remake, arguably better graphics, significantly worse art style, though. I felt it looked kind of chunky.
Yeah.
I think I've just only looked at the Super Nintendo version because you need fan translations for these as well. And again, just wasn't huge on the look. The big difference that this has that the original doesn't have is you can fully rotate the camera.
Oh, nice.
So similar to Xenogears, actually, especially with the 2D sprites, 3D environments.
It does look like that. This is a weird layout for a house. You go upstairs and it's like an empty room with just a door.
Marvel's in a house.
Oh wait, it's a ship. All right, we're in a ship. I do like the visuals. I mean, I haven't played the other ones, of course. So, but this is really nice looking.
See, this intro is quite simple, but already you're wondering, what was going on with that intro? Why am I on the ship?
Right. Yeah. Apparently I can talk to party members if I had any at any point.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that. Dragon Quest has a full system where at any time you can chat with your party members and get dialogue from them.
I really like that actually.
I can't imagine how much work it was to write something like that or put something like that in a game. Thousands and thousands of lines, but at any point in the story you can talk and you'll get different bits of dialogue from your party members.
All right, so is there a menu? Okay. So magic.
So these are just when you press buttons for the party chat, you press buttons to open a chest or interact, you are performing the shortcuts of these menus.
Right.
So I think in the original Super Nintendo version, there are no hotkeys for those because it's very old school. I think you have to pause the game to open up a menu, to open a chest, things like that.
So I have a carriageway as a as a party member. Okay.
Well, no, it's you later get something like that. And this is just kind of the abstracted representation of general menu stuff right now.
Okay, I'm Pancraz's son. Nice. No levels. I know, level 1. Okay. Yeah, so I can examine. Is there a shortcut for that?
No. If you just press A to examine something.
Ah, right. Okay. Wait. Whoops. I did not want to go there yet. Doesn't have any kind of journal or quest log, does it?
No.
Do I have items? Okay. So I have items, my items, and in a bag. Okay.
Yeah, so in Dragon Quest, every party member carries individual items, and you can put them in a communal bag.
Right, okay. This is a very luxurious ship. Am I a pirate? Okay, where do I need to go? Is it here?
What do you think of these accents?
I mean, there's someone called what was some sort of Italian name. I usually don't mind them when they are used in moderation, but for example, I think I mentioned this before. Final Fantasy XIV the entire game uses this a very old style English, very polite speak, and I always hated that. I just, if you can't like just use neutral English as like, unless it depends. If it's like a, let's say, a character from certain nation that has certain like way of speaking, that's fine. But the way they did it in Final Fantasy XIV, for example, I did not like. And for now, this is fine.
Yeah, so there are regional dialects in the Dragon Quest games.
Yeah, that's fine.
You might get a kid with a very strong Scottish accent or something like that. The contentious thing is that I think a lot of the stuff was added by the localizers.
Oh,
I don't know what the original developer's opinion is of it.
yeah. If it was not in the original, you don't need to add it. There's absolutely no need for that. Sometimes it also assumes like if you add some sort of, you know, a way of speaking to a character, it actually can change the character's whole personality, right? Like you can make them sound like a dummy, maybe, and even though maybe the original developer didn't intend him to be like that, right? You have to be careful with that kind of stuff. I would just not add anything like that unless it's in, you know, if it's not in the original.
Well, there are certainly versions of this game with more literal translations, if that's what you're looking for.
Well, this one in particular, 5.
Yeah, because for years it wasn't available in English, so people translated the Super Nintendo version and the PS2 version.
Oh, I want all of these chests. Why can't I get them? Okay. Maybe I can get them later. Okay. Man. This is actually something I'll talk about when you play Xenoblade. Something that was really common in JRPGs and in certain ones today, but like right now, I don't know what I need to do. I'm sure someone said it, like they threw one sentence at me at some point, and I probably just forgot or something. And there is absolutely no way for me to like go into a menu and check. I'm not saying every RPG and JRPG needs like a quest log or something on screen. No, I'm very much like, you know, certainly From Software games did away with that. And you could argue that maybe kind of it came to a head with Elden Ring, where a lot of side quests are hard to follow. And, you know, there's definitely a debate on that. But you could do other things, right? I don't know, something, but right now I need to just like where have I not been?
You could always you could probably talk to the captain in the cabin.
But I did, right? He was talking about that was this guy. He was like, oh, your father is amazing.
Yeah, maybe talk to your dad again, I guess.
Okay, I guess let's try that. Enjoy myself. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You just gotta talk to everyone until you find the.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be one of those. Is that it will just trigger an event after I spoke with everyone or most. Hopefully, it's not everyone. Everyone. Wait. If you go to the gallery or the sailor's quarters, take the stairs. Oh, okay, he's just telling you where it.
Have you been to? If you go upstairs, I think there was a staircase inside that you didn't take.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
No, I've been here.
That door. Did you go to that door?
Oh. The one door I didn't go to. But this is just a balcony.
Oh, okay. Nice balcony.
Okay, this is not a good sign. I'm already stuck. It's funny how a game that has examine, talk, like, actually this could have been that, like, right? Like this could have been like, hey, examine. Well, there's nothing here, but my dude needs to go, but he knows that he needs to go there and there, right? This could have been like a good way of using this system. Okay.
Probably something in here. Probably a person you need to talk to. If you talk to the guy at the captain's wheel, or the ship's wheel.
I think I did, but let's do it again.
Right.
Okay.
That soldier there, the green. Spoken to him.
Okay, he tells me not to steal shit. There's this guy. Do I need to like go to sleep? But I just woke up, right? Or do I need to wash myself?
Yeah. I know. Don't think so.
Wait, but it's funny, they let you turn the camera, but they in that case they need to make sure that there's walls everywhere. Look at this. It's a bit weird. If there's a wall here, there should be a wall here as well, right? I don't know. I must be missing like a staircase or like a door. I think I need to be moving the camera a bit more than I am. Oops.
I think you have to talk to every sailor.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this guy tells me about the captain, and I have spoken with that guy. There's nobody here.
Oh, is there someone? Let's take the camera there. Is there someone there, down there,
Where?
at the front of the ship? Turn. Yeah, right there, right in front of you. Okay, that's just a thingy.
No, it's yeah. Let's go to the captain's. What is the guy?
Have you been to the top right up there?
I think so, but let's check it out. Yeah, there's this chef thing.
Have you been downstairs from there?
Oh, maybe not. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
No, I have been here. Oh God.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I want to go back to the room with the captain. I think maybe there's something there.
Must be.
Oh,
Well, yeah, maybe there was someone down there you didn't talk to. Bravo.
so choosing the wife, is it going to be actually would it make sense, or is it going to be very gamey, like, hey, there's like 4 ladies, you just need to choose one, and she just kind of agrees with it?
No, it's much more natural than that, and there's quite a few gameplay consequences that you get. They have completely different personalities, completely different dialogue. Changes the way that your kids look.
So does that mean that this game can be replayed 4 times and there'll be enough differences to warrant that?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure if I replay it, that I will pick a different wife.
Right. You'll need to show me which one you picked. Also, do you make that choice at the same time? Are they all there, or like do you meet one first, and then if you don't pick her, another one shows up eventually?
You get introduced to all of them before you make the decision, and then yes, it happens at one point. Probably about maybe 15 or 20 hours in. This isn't maybe not 15 hours in, maybe about 10 hours in. This isn't the longest RPG. It's probably about 35 hours.
I was gonna ask if we're gonna get to that point, but I guess not.
Probably not.
Okay. Yeah, I think in general the whole generational stuff, this is not the only game that does it or have done it since. I never had that much interest in that kind of stuff, where like, oh, this is a story through his entire life kind of thing. It's like, I don't know, unless it needs that kind of stuff for the actual story, I feel like you don't really need to go to that kind of time length, like it doesn't need to take that long for you to tell a story about something, in most cases, I guess. Like right now, I guess he's supposed to be like a young boy here, but he could have been already grown up, and he's just with his father, right? It's
Well, yeah, it's tough to not spoil things, but I think it's all quite justified.
Okay, interesting. Maybe this is the game that actually did it right.
I think so. Talk to your dad here.
So is this one of my future wives?
Potentially.
Wow, there's a lot of like Italian theming here. I'm not enjoying that. Like linguini, some Italian names here. It's like, what is going on?
Linguini?
No, I think it's something like linguini.
This guy's name is Briscoletti.
Yeah.
The game isn't particularly Italian themed. They've just chosen Italian names for this family.
I get, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my god, yes. Get me off the ship. So, am I a silent protagonist?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting when interacting with my potential wives.
Yeah. Yeah, it's normally I'm not huge on silent protagonists in these sorts of games, but somehow it works in Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah, I don't like them, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I think it gave me a map.
Mm-hmm.
How do I open it? Wait, is it?
Oh, there's the second page of that inventory.
Oh. Map. Use. Are you for real?
Press Y to open the map when you're outside town. That's what it says.
Oh, outside town. Okay, so not in town. Right. Okay, he said go and play. Man, that's also very vague. Oh, nice. Instead, I'm gonna steal shit. Give me that. Okay. Play. I guess I'll need to find somebody and talk to them. There's a room here. Are we at least gonna get to some combat in the 1 hour we have?
I'm sure we will.
Okay. Lady, I'm gonna steal your shit.
Apparently not.
Yep. Okay. Oh, actually, can
Oh
I?
yeah. You break those barrels every time.
Yeah. I know that in NES, I guess they had to do it this way. There was a technical limitation back then. But for the DS remake, surely they could have just made them not reappear. Oh, so actually the map is just... Oh, okay. So it has had 2 levels of that, right? So I can't... Okay. Let's see. I feel like he told me, hey, go play, but I'm like, I'm outside of town. I'm just going into the woods.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so is this active time or not? I guess it's not.
It's fully turn-based.
Okay. Tactics. Okay, that's the companion stuff. Party.
Yeah, so in some role-playing games, in Dragon Quest, you can set your party members to fully control them, or you can just give them AI specifications, heal me a bunch, or attack the enemies a bunch, that kind of thing.
Wait. The father showed up. Oh shit.
Look at that. You're level 1, this dude's level 27. You're like a side party member.
Yeah. Wait, can I do magic?
He's faster than you, so you get the turn. No, you don't have any magic.
So, how many party members in this game? 4, I guess. Looks like
4, yeah.
So I could have had all my wives then, or at least 3 of them with me.
Well, you can only pick one wife per playthrough.
Yeah, but the other ones can join me in my party.
No, you can't.
So they just go away. They don't want to speak with you anymore.
Well, yeah, pretty much. It's much more natural than that. They have, their story pans out differently if you don't marry them.
Right.
Look at that. So at the start of the game, you are essentially a side character getting babysat. Yeah, your companion getting babysat by your dad. This is for if you have more than 4 party members, you can swap them out in fights.
Oh, in combat. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This refers to the dad as the main guy, and he says, "Oh, I don't have any companions." Okay, I can do magic. Nope, my dude doesn't know any spells. Okay. Wait, so I can attack 2 of them at the same time. Interesting.
It just picks the one with the lower HP, I believe.
Oh wow, I don't like that, because maybe that's not always going to be my choice. Actually, I will say that I was never a fan of this perspective for JRPG battles, where you don't see the characters and just like a, camera forward kind of view, and you have just your icons of characters at the top there or at the bottom. I tend to avoid those games. I like to actually see them and see them attack. I mean, this game is quite old, but even back then, this was already like in the times when Final Fantasy did it. Have had the...
Final Fantasy was one of the earlier ones to switch to the side perspective. Now, the newest Dragon Quest games, you can switch to a third-person perspective, or rather, you can switch back to the first person. But I think it works really well in this game because there are no animations for your party members. The combat is just so snappy. The animations last exactly as long as they need to, and like that entire fight would have happened in the time that it takes for the loading time and camera pan in a Final Fantasy IX. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off. You don't need to... Like, some Final Fantasies definitely took their time with camera panning and animations, but at the same time, it's a bit much in the other direction for me. Like, it's a bit too stripped out of anything. I'm not sure if I'm going to see any magic here, but hopefully there's at least some sort of magic effects. I'm not sure if you mentioned where we're going though. Where
No,
are we?
he hasn't said yet. The nice thing, at least with this remake, is that they've added a lot of camera transitions, so the camera moves around during the battle, and the enemies are very nicely animated. So that lends a lot of dynamics. I wasn't usually a fan of games with this first-person perspective, but the nice thing about, well, usually the games that had it was because they are super old games. They don't have a ton of polish in the way the combat looks, but this game does get all the attention for nice polished combat. So it's definitely something you get used to.
So, does the silent protagonist continue into the newer games as well? Are they always silent?
Yeah.
So I guess this is their village. Glory to the goddess.
So Dragon Quest 4, 5, 6 refer to a goddess, and 1, 2, 3 refer to a god. So that's the only reason why people really group them together in a trilogy.
Right, okay. Oh, man.
Things like that.
Sancho. Senor.
Sancho.
It's so good. Oh my god.
It's so good to see you.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about this one. Like, okay, I don't like to see like real world. Let's say in this case, a Spanish person. Like, if you want to have him for being from a different nation within the world, that's fine. But don't bring like a Spanish guy into this, or like an Italian. I'm not sure if it's like a translation thing or the original had this as well. Man, I would be surprised if it's just a translation thing.
Well, I think he's named Sancho in the original, but yeah, maybe they didn't lean into these accents. I think accents are a powerful way to differentiate people. I mean, usually you don't have just straight up fictional invented accents unless it's a really hard fantasy setting.
I don't know. If you don't bother creating a lore specific type of accent or like a nation or something, then don't do it at all. Don't bring a Spanish guy into a world that has no Spain in it or Mexico.
I'm sure we can think of lots of examples where that's the case and it works, but this is just very over the top, comically over the top because it's Dragon Quest.
Yes. Can I say no to her?
Probably doesn't work.
Nope. Who are you? So I'm 6, and I was fighting monsters. Holy shit!
Well, you're level 1.
Is this one of my wives?
Potentially.
This one can't read. I'm not even looking at her. I'm doing my thing. All right. What book?
Oh, you're worse than her.
Oh, okay. A leather hat. Nice. Let's see. Actually, is there equipment?
No, it's all lumped in with items.
Oh, so there's no equipment in general in this game.
Well, so there was equipment. You just go to the item list here, and then you can equip it.
Oh,
So there's,
okay.
there's no delineation between equipment and consumable items and things like that. It's just
So equip. So how do I see what I... okay, so it has E on it. Okay, fair enough. I guess it's... well, I mean,
you can also eat that seed. That'll boost. If you eat that seed of resilience, it boosts your resilience stat by 1.
Seed. Okay. Use. Is it permanent boost?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Let's go talk to old man. See, my dude works very well in this conversation.
Yeah.
It works everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna steal some shit.
I don't think you ever get anything from the bookshelves. So
I do get something in. I get funny things like him not being able to read. I keep forgetting I can turn the camera.
well, I'm not sure you ever actually have to because the camera angles are set the same as the original, right? Presumably. I'm not exactly sure, but theoretically you shouldn't need to touch the camera. It's just there if you want to.
Well, if they didn't change anything, then that would make sense, because then they would have made sure that the game is designed with only one perspective in mind, right? So it would, you know, if they kept it the same, then this camera turning would only be like a gimmick, really. You should be able to see everything you need from the one perspective. So this, in this case, it was like this, so I had to go there. Yeah, so that works out, I guess. But also here there was a chest.
Yeah, there was that seat behind the. Yeah, okay, maybe they have played with some things. I mean, Dragon Quest XI has a mode where so your characters. Oh, you saw your dad run off there.
Oh,
Follow him.
wait. Oh.
You can always go down a well in Dragon Quest games. If you foresee a well, there's always something good down there.
Just like in Xenogears.
Did it work that way?
You could get I think it was a potion in the first village in the well.
Mm.
Is that a dog?
Yeah, he went up this way.
That's a cat. There's a dungeon. Is that someone living in this dungeon?
It's an inn, I think. Isn't it? Yeah, in the new Dragon Quest game, when you get into combat with enemies, you can use the analog stick to freely walk around the fight for no reason. There is no positioning in the combat. As soon as you enter, as soon as you start to attack your enemies, then it locks you into place. But if you want, you can just kind of walk around the combat zone and stare at the enemies and look at them from different angles.
Thanks, priest. What else can you do?
They can resurrect dead party members. I think they can also cure you of certain status ailments.
Ah, okay. Yes. Okay. I'm just gonna follow the father. Where did he go? This way. Can I go down there? I guess not. Some buildings are like are instanced and some of them aren't. It's weird. Wheelbrook. I guess I can't.
That's where you came in.
Yeah. Everyone has something to say about me and my father. We're like the most popular people in this village. Okay, can I give it to you? And no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess not. Okay, let's go down here. Boy.
Of course, you got to go in.
Yeah, duh. What luck? But then, am I supposed to fight these? Like, I couldn't handle the 3 of them, but now this one has like a bug as well with them. Well, let's see how this goes.
Take them on.
Okay, I guess they're not that bad.
So, I know another reason why they group enemies together is because Dragon Quest has certain weapon types that can hit multiple groups of enemies. So if you find the boomerang weapon in one of these areas, then the boomerang will hit all 3 of those slimes for equal damage.
I need to kill some babies. I need to. Can I use an item?
Yep. You can take it. You can take them out and then heal after the fight.
I guess.
I mean, they're just lightly chipping away, really.
Don't know if I should listen to you, Ian. I think I'm gonna heal.
Unfortunately, we're not going to get anywhere close to the most interesting stuff that this game has to offer. But one of the things I like the most about this game, even compared to the Dragon Quest games, is how much the game bucks tradition and bucks traditional fantasy tropes.
Like, give me an example of that.
I mean, what to talk about without spoiling type of the game for you or for the audience.
No,
What do I talk about here?
If it's an early spoiler, I guess you can go for it.
I can't. I'm trying to think of something really good. All the best stuff happens much later in the game.
Right.
But well, for one example, in the other Dragon Quest games, you find the legendary armor that the hero wears. That in the first Dragon Quest, you have to go to a bunch of dungeons and collect the legendary hero's armor.
Yeah.
So you find some of that stuff in this game, like Sword in the Stone moment, and you can't pull it out. And later on in the game, it's because one of your children pulls it out, and they are the chosen one. When people say that they think that you're special, it's not because you're special. It's not because you're the chosen one. It's because your job is to, or your role in the prophecy is to,
just to breed.
is to raise the chosen one.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Which I think is more interesting because, especially because the game has a silent protagonist. So why not make the chosen one character someone else in your party that can talk to you? A little more exciting. The thing is, the other Dragon Quest games, I mean, they don't all follow tradition or anything like that. But this one, I think, was for a game that plays or set the standard for how JRPGs play. Dragon Quest Dragon Quest V constantly surprised me as I was playing it with the twists and turns that it takes you through.
Interesting. I mean, just the whole idea of offsprings and some sort of generational storytelling was already not something I've actually played in any of the JRPGs before. Back in the day, at least. I know nowadays some of them do that, but
He's pretty popular these days, especially with like Fire Emblem and games like that.
yeah, actually, Fire Emblem, right?
Quite
that one
popular. Oh, better heal up. Oh no!
No! I didn't notice I was gonna die. Oh my god! Why are these people? Is the super game over? Oh. Oh god. Okay. I need to go to the church.
He said go home and rest. So I guess the bed at home heals you.
Where is home?
Just if you follow that paved road. It's that building at the bend.
This one.
I think that's the one.
No, it's this people's house.
Yeah, you're staying with them, aren't you?
Oh, okay.
If you talk to, I don't know if you can use the bed or if you can talk to Sancho. There you go. Buenos noches, friend.
Man, that was a huge difficulty spike. Holy shit.
Yeah, the game's old school. I don't remember doing too much grinding in this game, to be honest.
Wait.
Hmm?
Is it back?
Who gets back? No? Okay.
Oh, it's going off. Wow, that's a very interesting way of...
Interesting.
Yeah, okay.
I will say that Dragon Quest is actually pretty good at having a smooth... Okay, maybe smooth is a strong word, but... Oh, there he goes. So when you saw the raft... You saw the raft in that dungeon. There you go.
Now I see what's happening here. Yeah, that was pretty smooth, actually. I didn't expect from a JRPG from the SNES era to actually handle it this way. It put me outside of the dungeon. It replayed the last event. Man, this is really good, actually. Surprisingly good compared to the start of the game, where I was, even now I don't actually know what the requirement was there. Maybe just talk to every single person.
Yeah,
but...
I looked it up and that's what it is.
Okay. God. Okay, I need to remember that a flying thing and things with like molds were like the... Let's go right this time. Okay, not this way.
Yeah, Dragon Quest actually, I think, is a really good difficulty curve where it is consistently interesting. The game is willing to make some areas a big challenge for you. The game is willing to make some areas a little easier and let you steamroll it. I think it has a really graceful curve.
I just noticed that in that group of two enemies, I attacked the right first, and then for some reason I attacked the left one next time, which makes no sense to me. Right? Because next time I would attack the same person, because the same enemy, because they were weaker than at that point, right? They were like closer to death. But he chose to attack the other one. If he continues to do that, that's definitely not something I would choose to do.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fully random. I'm assuming there's a reason for it. Like, did you clear them in one hit? Maybe they thought that if you were going to do more damage, then taking them in one hit, then they should take out a complete enemy rather than finish off an already weakened one. I think Dragon Quest is really good at taking care of you. Another thing I really like with this game is I believe you can advance dialogue with by tapping the D-pad, which sounds like a little thing, but I played this game on the DS and I took the DS everywhere with me. And the fact that you could like literally hold literally hold the console with one hand and advance through dialogue and things like that. Like there's a ton of Dragon Quest sometimes gets flacked for being very old school. Its menus and things like that, like not changing a ton. But there's a ton of little conveniences that just make the experience quite smooth.
Yeah, it does feel like it has certain elements like that.
I mean, you've got to
Although-
love just how fast these battles move.
Although, to be honest, having said that, this was probably added in the DS version, right? Like years afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna heal now.
Lots of these enemies just drop healing items frequently. That's the nice thing is I'm sure this dungeon has been tuned so that is it's I don't know what you call it, like an infinite economy. Like you could just stay in here for as long as you want, and you could keep hitting enemies, and no matter how much damage you take, you're always going to be getting enough healing drops.
Right. So that guy wanted a shovel, I think, and I don't think I have that.
No.
I did find a dress though. I'm gonna wear that.
Equip that. Another little thing I like with this game is, you know, people would say things like, "Why didn't Cloud use a Phoenix down to revive Aerith in Final Fantasy VII?" So this game has Yggdrasil leaves from the Yggdrasil tree that you can use to revive people. One little thing I like about this game is when someone dies in this game, and for as old as this game is, they kill off several major characters quite brutally. This game's actually quite sad, as silly as it might sound for something so cheerful looking. The game, some serious stuff happens in this game.
So by kill off, do you mean like part of the gameplay type stuff where if
I mean, in the same way that Aerith dies in
Right.
Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
But one thing I like is they make sure that you can't resurrect someone from the Yggdrasil leaf because they are like obliterated and there is no corpse, or they are turned to stone and they're just gone forever.
Okay.
There is nothing. There is no. Or why don't you just resurrect that person? And
Yeah, I mean it's not something that is that important to address, to be honest. And
weirdly enough, it's just a consistency thing that I noticed.
yeah.
Something useful.
So you can have monsters fight with you, right?
Yeah, but that's not something you'll get to later.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. Slime. Wait, so there's nothing here except that guy.
Yeah.
It's hard to say who's gonna go first, actually. I'm missing that in this, like, it's turn-based, but I need to know whose turn next it is. Like, right now, let's say if I was near death, and I also, it doesn't show the HP of the monster, so it's really hard to make that call. Like, right now, I didn't actually realize he would go first.
I wonder if you use an item, if that would come out faster. Like, does the I
don't
can't
know.
remember if the action says, oh, you need to heal. You need to heal. I can't remember if the action system is that convoluted. I think it's simpler. I think all actions the same amount of time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the kind of thing where when you get more party members, the strategies start to come out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
Nice.
need to start fleeing when the hammer guys appear, because I don't have enough healing items, and the
Okay, yeah.
random encounters are pretty high in this game.
Oh,
mean,
that's
old-
where you
old
came
school.
from.
I know, but there's nothing else there, right?
Is there what about to the right when you down here? Oh no. Huh. Oh, so you need the shovel. Yeah, what's going on with that?
I guess I need to find the shovel. Hopefully it's here somewhere. Or maybe I missed a shop in the village where I can buy it. I think, sadly, this is probably a very good example of kind of slowly but surely why random encounters combined with JRPG style combat kind of became a lot less popular in these days.
Yeah.
It's like it's always in conflict of, you want to explore this cave, you have like a mission, like a quest, find your father, but these kind of nagging random encounters. The thing is, like, if you don't find enjoyment in fighting these, right, like, then it just falls apart. Like, if you don't like the combat. But then even if you do like the combat, maybe also you feel like you have like no control over this aspect of the gameplay. Like, you just get ambushed by these monsters all the time.
Yeah. I think you can exit the dungeon now. You're
Oh,
supposed to.
okay.
I'd love to see that. You're supposed, for the sake of pacing here, you're supposed to tell one of the people at the house about this guy.
Okay. Bunnycorn.
I get. Bunnycorn. Yeah, I think. Well, in the case of Dragon Quest, I get the impression that grinding or random encounters or things are meant to be more of like a zone out activity. Like, particularly because Dragon Quest, the story, it's not super plot driven. I mean, there is a plot there, and I think it's good. It's more of an episodic kind of format. Oftentimes, you'll go to a town that has a certain problem or something. You'll need to go to a dungeon to clear it out, and you'll learn about the people there, and you'll learn about their story, and you clear it, and you move on to the next one. And each one kind of reinforces the theme. And then, for a few of those, the storyline will really advance. And
Sure.
so I think the sort of intended way to play is to pick it up for a bit, and just chill for a while, and just vibe with this turn-based combat, and then turn it off after a while. That
I
makes
guess
sense.
if you look at it that way, it could make a bit more sense. But actually, I'm glad we're playing Xenoblade after this, because that will show actually how. And actually, I mentioned that previous episode when I was talking about Xenoblade, is how that game brought some of the Western kind of pacing design choices and used them to keep the story moving and events. And in that game, well, first of all, that game I think has a quest log, if I'm remember correctly. But even if it didn't have that, it's more like just a lot of smaller elements come together to make sure that you know what you're doing. And obviously in this game, unfortunately, he's silent as well, so there's really no even room for him to say, well, okay, there's nothing else here, I need to go back and tell somebody about this guy, right? If he just said that, just one line, that would already make me know exactly what I need to do, and not spend time just like blindly looking around in this cave. Because the thing is, I'm looking for my father. Why would I leave? I haven't found him yet, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that game, Xenoblade, is much newer, and they had literally decades to learn all those lessons. But I think it's interesting to compare these two and to see how because actually I think to this day there's probably JRPGs out there that neither of us have played that still kind of use this archaic way of constructing the flow, which is unfortunate. I don't think the things that Xenoblade did, they don't take away from a JRPG. They really don't. They just make it slightly easier to play and enjoy it. Okay, I need to tell somebody about.
You go to the house there.
Yeah.
You can tell Sanja. You could also theoretically go to a shop and buy some better equipment. Oh shoot.
Oh.
You need to tell. I think you need to tell. I looked up. You need to tell Bianca's mom. Who's in one of these houses.
Wait,
here.
this is the shop. I haven't been here yet. Actually, I don't think I can. This guy's blocking my way. Oh,
No,
actually,
he
this
is
is
the shop.
this is the shopkeeper.
He is the shop.
Yes.
Get that bamboo spear.
Ooh. What about oak and stuff? No, look, oak and stuff is better.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Oh, or sword. There you go. Oh, I don't
Can't
have.
afford that.
Wait, I want to sell something.
What do you got?
I'll sell my shorts if I need to.
Sell your plain clothes. You don't
Yep.
need those.
Don't need those. Yep. What is this TNT ticket? Do I need that? I guess I do. I can't sell anything else. Okay, I can't afford the sword. I guess I'll buy a stick. Okay, I can afford oaken stuff. No, yeah, oaken stuff. God damn it! I want to get the sword.
Your numbers are just going to go up. Weirdly, I think Dragon Quest VIII nails the appropriate game feel needed to make it feel good when numbers go up. Few games offer quite the sensation of numbers going up as Dragon Quest does. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the sound effects of leveling up. I don't know if it's the sound effects of critical hits and things like that, but it just feels really nice.
I don't see my stuff that I just bought. What?
Your inventory there?
Wait, I didn't buy it.
Did you? No, yeah, you didn't buy it.
How do I buy it?
We'll talk to him there, or press A on it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Who's going to carry the goods? So you're going to put it in your bag? Or you're going to put it on your person?
On my person.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to equip it? Yeah.
Okay, now I have it, right? Oh, God.
Yeah. You've got it equipped. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you raise an interesting point, and also after playing this game over 10 years ago, it's interesting looking back at some of these games with fresher eyes. And it might be that woman down there, up there, with the blonde hair.
God, like you would think that anyone would be interested, right? There's the man from the village dying there.
Yeah, right.
But it has to be this woman.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
Nope, it's not this one. Is it this old?
Jeez.
Is it maybe the guard? Right? Surely the guard of the cave. Oh man, if it's not that guard, then okay, I know who it is. It's this cat. Oh.
It's definitely not that guy.
Yeah, it's this man's father, right? That's down there, and he doesn't care.
Is it the item shop? Not the weapon shop.
Well, is it?
Yeah, sometimes you look back at some old games and you think, how did I tolerate this?
I try not to be like that, to be honest, because
Well, I mean, obviously there's something here that grabbed me.
Well, it's everything else, right? It's the story, it's the characters.
Yeah, I mean, but those haven't emerged yet. Like 60 minutes, and we pretty much hit 60 minutes. I mean, I don't want to say it's not enough, because I think any game should hook you within 60 minutes. But yeah, probably wonders when I picked this up that I must have been incredibly patient, because well, I mean, a lot of RPGs take that time to get going, and they shouldn't have to. Like, I think you should try to give the player a hook at the beginning, especially these days. But yeah, in some ways, you ask yourself, I had a lot of patience for this.
Yeah, I mean,
You just put up with the shit, or just not being afraid to open a walkthrough, which you shouldn't have to do.
This example in particular, where I'm in this almost like a Groundhog Day, because I just fell asleep and then the father thing played out again. So he keeps going to that cave every day. So the game wants me to kind of figure out this almost like a puzzle sequence. And
it's not summoning me in unless you summon upstairs or downstairs. Oh yeah, it's
But
if you talk to her again, does she say something different? Oh my goodness.
I feel like I need to get a hold of that shovel and just give it to him. That's my like, but I just don't know if someone's selling them or this is an inn and this is just somebody's house, right? I mean, yeah, unless if you look it up and you can kind of, it's already been more or less an hour, more than an hour actually.
Yeah, the item shop. Is there an item shop in this town?
It doesn't look like it. This is all there is to it, right?
Can't leave. And dang.
Wait, maybe it's this guy here. Nope. I'm surprised that this guard doesn't have anything to say about that. Wait, how to get to him?
It might even be something related to the guy down there that you had to a certain way or something.
Okay. Wait, there is a door there. Actually, wait. Let me try that door at the item shop. Nope, it's just...
You had to push the rock. I looked it up.
Punch the rock.
The rock that the guy's trapped under.
Oh.
You had to walk up to it and push it.
Okay, let's see if we can do this quickly. Maybe there's going to be like a boss fight or something. That way.
I must have. Well, yeah. Either I got lucky when I played this, or you've just gotten unlucky.
How would you even know that this 6-year-old can punch a rock that is holding a full-grown man? Yeah. It's so weird because he literally tells you, "Hey, if I wonder if you have a shovel, right?" He mentions a shovel.
It's supposed to sound like a clue or something. Yeah.
Oh, a clue. Yeah, a shovel. It's a clue for punching.
If only I had a shovel.
or a 6-year-old.
Your goal. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you have to write stuff as a designer, I mean, game writing is design. I mean, I'm a narrative designer at work right now, and it's so much of what you do is about conveying information to the player, and yet a lot of this dialogue is from an era where there you go.
Oh, push the rock. Okay, I thought punching rocks.
No, this isn't Resident Evil 5.
I was gonna say it's not Resident Evil 5. But I'm sorry, he's a 6-year-old. How is a 6-year-old saving this fool?
I mean, you're also attacking monsters with a stick, right? I got bored not being able to move.
Oh, okay, cool. Rockefeller, huh? Okay. Man. All right, cool. Leave a 6-year-old here by himself.
It's a shame because when I was looking at the long play there to figure out what to do, and next bit is probably the better little snippet of the game.
Well, it is what it is, right? This is like unfiltered, raw ass experience. Dragon Quest V. You know, if I was by myself right now and I wouldn't have you to look it up, well, I would have probably just looked it up myself. But I would have spent quite a long time just being quite lost.
What do they say? If you don't like me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best.
No, yeah.
So I would say that it's worth playing through these bits because if you can play through these bits, you can still say, well, I like the premise and I like the art style and I like the way the combat flows. Like, ultimately, even if you could have played a great little bit and been impressed, but then after that wears off and if you're left with the same kind of stuff, then you're just going to put it down anyway, right? So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it just, people are divided into two camps in my mind. People that believe that a game has to, you shouldn't be waiting for hours for the game to capture your attention, and the camp of people who think that it's okay if the game is slower at the start or if it has like certain challenges. Usually I'm in the later camp. I don't really mind these kind of things, and if I was set on playing this game, finishing it, this wouldn't have prevented me from playing it, really, right? So I would just like kind of, maybe dislike this part, but just move on and then judge the game overall.
I think even if it's a slower game, there's lots of ways that you can, like, off the top of my head, Suikoden 2, the intro to that game is great. Even though the game slows down after that, it doesn't matter because the intro, the first intro 10 minutes, even though there's barely any gameplay there, hooks you enough to want to hang on to the rest of the game, even when it slows down.
Right, yeah.
It's probably different stuff when you go back to the house, but yeah, this point you just save.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rest and we can conclude there. I think it's gonna be probably the father going again to the caves.
Probably, but the guy at the item shop, or the guy that you rescued, is now in the town. I think he's by the inn or the item shop or something like that.
He's here.
Oh no, it's different.
Yes. Okay, well, I guess the story continues from here. Yeah, this was Dragon Quest V. Definitely blast from the past in many ways. Definitely a lot of kind of old school mechanics here, and I kind of knew that. I knew that Dragon Quest was quite traditional in a lot of ways. I guess I'm interested to see, or to kind of know how the latest games kind of, how much of that stuff they keep and how much they innovate in terms of ease of play and flow.
Yeah, I might consider getting you to try 11 sometime if this podcast goes on long enough.
Well, just in general, like, what would you say, like, the latest games in this series, do they kind of change up the way they play in terms of kind of exploring and doing quests and stuff like that, or do they kind of keep it traditional as this one?
I think they're very modernized. I think at first glance they have a similar art style, they have similar music, they have similar combat systems, but they make a lot of things more streamlined and easier to pick up and better easing players in and giving players hooks to hang on to and things like that. Thinking about the first hour of 11, it's much tighter paced, it's much better. Though, as for why I like, say, 5 more than 11, some of it is the novelty, that 5 is subverting a lot of tropes in exciting and interesting ways. And part of it as well is that this game is like 35 hours long, so as 4, the later Dragon Quest games become absurdly long.
Right.
And 11, I remember I played to about the 40-hour mark, and I was enjoying it, but I thought about how this one is about 40 hours long. And I thought of all the memorable, amazing things that had happened in 5 by this point, and I was only like a quarter of the way through 11. Mm-hmm. And it was really good, but it was less memorable for me. And I think it's just the tighter pacing. And just these days, these Dragon Quest games are just absolutely crammed with content, and I actually prefer a leaner experience.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing of kind of different camps of people that prefer more tight experience, and some people that actually don't mind, like the longer the better, right? But I think even those people, like, I usually like my JRPGs long, but I still will notice a flow and the kind of structure that doesn't really work or kind of falls apart. It's really noticeable. So yeah. Cool. That was Dragon Quest V. We're gonna take a break, guys, and come back with Xenoblade after the break.
Sweet. Hello, everyone. We're back with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles or Xenoblade in Japan. I think we ended up choosing games often for the show that kind of complement each other. We don't really do it on purpose, but this is one of those cases, I think, because after playing Dragon Quest V, we are switching to Xenoblade, and I mentioned this before. This game kind of married JRPG and Western RPGs together back when it came out in 2010. And it's interesting contrast to Dragon Quest V, that is a really old style game, old style JRPG. Let's look at this intro here. It sets up the game.
So I have played Xenogears, and that's all that I've played out of the Xeno series. Serge, have you played all of them?
So I've played Xenogears many times. I've played Xenosaga 1. I've played Xenoblade 1. I finished those 3 games. So this was made by Tetsuya Takahashi, and with involvement with his wife Soraya Saga. They both used to work for Square Enix, Squaresoft, and they worked on Xenogears together. Xenogears was initially pitched as a story for Final Fantasy VII when that was, when that was not accepted as Final Fantasy VII, that became its own project. And after they finished this game, Xenogears, they wanted to continue making these type of games, but Squaresoft wasn't really having that. And when it was clear that that would not continue at Squaresoft, he and his wife left, and he made Monolith Soft. And it's actually interesting to kind of think about the types of games that Tetsuya Takahashi kept making since then. Anyone who played more than one of his games realizes that actually he, for years, had actually been trying to tell the same story in all of his games. The world might be different, the characters might be different, but it's really the same type of game and the type of story that he wants to explore.
I loved Xenogears, but it didn't feel particularly finished, and you could tell that there was a much larger world that they wanted to build, maybe through sequels or things like that. So I'm not surprised that, even just by the name, by having Xeno the title, it suggests that it's kind of a spiritual successor and part of the same kind of thing for him. Like he sees this all as a continuation of one thing.
Well, actually, I'm not even talking about the famous thing with Disc 2 of Xenogears or anything like that, or the technical issues they had back in the day. I'm literally just talking about, actually, I would consider Xenogears a complete story in its own. And I truly think that he wants to explore this story in different separate games. And actually, let's just define what I mean by what kind of story he wants to explore. And that is, if just like in 1 or 2 sentences, it's essentially a story about how humans interact with gods, and if gods were a real thing and they have a direct influence on you and maybe want to harm you or have their own intentions for you, and what humanity does with that knowledge and how they resist or accept it. Essentially, that is the summary of the type of story Tetsuya Takahashi wants to explore with his games. And it's always that. And it's funny because this game, when I started playing, it felt so modern, because in technical terms and systems, they were really modern. But then after I finished this game, it's like, wow, I just played a modern version of Xenogears. And it's actually not really evident at the start, but it really becomes that story towards like the later half of the game. Obviously, we're not going to get to that point today, but anyone who finishes this game will agree that it's such a elaborate nod to Xenogears all the way back.
I should have known I couldn't talk sense into a beast. Let's do.
So what do you feel about the first hour as far as being representative of the final, the whole piece?
Actually, the first hour of this game is really good because it sets up a lot of stuff. It has enough of like gameplay and combat, and actually has a really dramatic plot twist, almost very early, almost at the start. So I'm actually looking forward to the things we're going to see.
We'll give them a warm Hans welcome. Acknowledged.
The basic gist of this was already shown in the intro. People live on these giant gods, essentially. They're so large that people can just live there. They have cities and villages. These two gods that are locked into eternal conflict.
Hard to target a monster. Battle palettes, like the fight icon. So this is a little bit like Final Fantasy XII.
Yeah.
You can freely move around, but it's like a 3D representation of a turn-based system.
Yep. And they will attack. They will auto attack by themselves, as long as you're close enough, and then you choose the skills you wanna execute once they're off cooldown.
So doing attacks fills up. Okay, so it's similar in some ways to FF7 Remake, where doing regular attacks fills up your or gives you points or a resource that you can spend towards larger, more powerful warranted moves.
Yeah,
so every hit that I'm doing is filling up my 2 options at the bottom, so I can buff my party members or deal more damage against a single target.
Yeah, that's not the only way to kind of fill those up, but that's the main way. Famously, this game has the flashback, or I don't know how they actually officially call it, but flashback system where the enemies that would kill you, that are about to kill you, the game pauses and shows you what will happen in the next like 5 to 7 seconds, and then you can react to that in the present time.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting system and it's really fun.
Actually, I did play maybe a couple hours of Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, because I had a Wii U and I was sort of looking at what are the last. Is there anything left in this console for me to exhaust? Because a lot of that stuff had been ported to Switch. So check that out, and that's a very different kind of game. It wasn't particularly story driven. It's like an open world title. Kind of gave me Monster Hunter vibes in a way.
Yeah, it does have a story, and the combat is similar, kinda, but that game actually has a lot more focus on mechs, for example, and yeah, like open world.
Dixon, Munka, let's do this.
Totally different kind of pacing right off the bat from Dragon Quest, which was this very quiet, intimate intro. Starts with your birth and goes into this very slower paced bit, which I think is appropriate for that game, but at the same time, as we've said a few times, you need a hook. You need something to give people to make them care. And I don't know if Dragon Quest V had enough of a hook at the beginning, whereas this is launching you straight into this enormous, Lord of the Rings style battle. Gives you a taste of the combat system. It gives you something to care about already. high stakes drama.
Yeah, it's definitely like the opposite start to that game. You know, you could say this is a bit too much from the start, and I think it's pretty clear that this is some sort of flashback. This is not the actual start of the game. You know, you're not going to be playing as these people, but it does kind of set up a bit of the world and gives you a taste of combat.
Wait!
So did you play this on the Wii or on the Switch the first time? Or on the new 3DS?
I played this on Wii and then on Switch as well. I've never played the 3DS. The 3DS version, I think it's the same as Switch, or as much as it could be. The biggest difference is the Switch and Wii. Actually, might as well get into that. The kind of bullet points of the changes are enhanced visuals, remastered soundtrack. Actually, the soundtrack of this game is so good, right from the main menu and throughout the entire game. Tetsuya Nomura, not Tetsuya Nomura. Snorri Mitsuda was involved in this soundtrack, and along with other people, and I really love it. It's so good. Anything from sandbox soundtracks to the main menu soundtrack to just throughout the entire game, it's so good. And the new remastered soundtrack has more songs, and you can actually, I think, choose between the two in this version. There's new content in the form of a DLC prologue story. I'll talk about that in a bit. A bunch of new user interface stuff. Yeah, and that's probably the biggest changes. But you know, even though I say changes, but this is a direct upgrade to the Wii version. So this is definitely the definitive one. They haven't removed anything. It's an upgrade. So this is the one worth playing.
I remember in North America when this game came out, or maybe a year or so after it came out, it was incredibly hard to find because they didn't ship a lot of copies. This is really late in the Wii's lifespan, and it was a hardcore RPG. And I just remember copies being like over $100. And then GameStop printed more copies. People made a big deal out of that. And it went from seemingly this very niche thing to being one of Nintendo's flagship hardcore franchises alongside Fire Emblem, right? Like, these characters are in Smash Bros. They've made a bunch of entries in the Xenoblade series since then. It's become a big deal.
Well, that might not be the only reason why this was so hard to find. This was part of the Operation Rainfall, famously, a group of 3 RPGs that were that fans wanted to be localized in the West.
Do you know what the other ones were?
Perfect for making a shield. If I can just get it off, I should be able to.
Yeah, it was
Pandora's Tower?
Pandora's Tower, and the Last Story.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a mechon. It's just a crabble. It was using the mechon armor as a shell.
Pandora's Tower is pretty cool. Last Story I've always wanted to try.
Yes, I haven't played those yet. Another kind of notable thing about this game is the VO, famously all English cast, all British cast, and sometimes
Even in the Japanese, in all languages, in all regions.
What was it? Huh.
Is it?
I think no.
I'm asking.
No, they had the Japanese voice cast, but in the West it was they were just memorable, honestly. Sometimes memeable, especially this guy here that you have, your friend here. He's you know, JRPG yelling his attacks and just other kind of ironic comments and stuff like that.
So did you feel when this came out that this had a pretty good English cast for a JRPG?
Oh yeah, I honestly, I'll be honest, the American voice acting in anime and games, JRPGs, is, oh, I'm trying to be like politically correct here, but it's god awful, is what it is. I don't know what it is.
I resent that.
I don't know what it is, but something about when they have to get into that booth and voice Japanese stuff, they just, I don't know. So this was a really refreshing breath of fresh air when I heard this, and they continued that actually. I haven't played Xenoblade 2 or 3 yet, but I know they have all English casts there as well.
This is cool that they've already given you a skill right off the get-go that gets you thinking about positioning. So it's more than just a simple turn-based system where you can walk around. There's actually some thought about moving around a monster, attacking it from the right spot.
Skill and a heal as well.
Yep, and that's it.
It's pretty dangerous outside of the colony. There are all kinds of monsters. Yeah, but thanks to you, we got its shell. Everyone in the colony's gonna...
I'm more worried about you than the shell. Oh, whatever. Knowing what you're like, at least you'll make a decent weapon out of it. This scrap driver's excellent.
I just learned by watching Dixon make weapons.
Of course, Dunban's weapon still beats them all.
Ah, and you're like, hey, I recognize those names.
I hope I can figure out the secret of his power one day. You will.
Now, Shulk here is, you know, your typical JRPG protag.
You can tell by by his plucky attitude and blonde hair.
Yeah, I mean, he ends up being probably one of the least interesting characters, but luckily the rest of the cast kind of carries the story, honestly. And actually, his love interest is one of the more interesting characters, and things happen to that girl.
Yep. Oh, it's definitely a modern, taking some influence from modern games. All these tutorial menus.
Yeah, so right off the bat, you know, when I first played this more than 10 years ago, like just even then, immediately noticed how kind of, I don't know what it was. I guess UI stuff, just nothing was getting in my way of playing this game, right? You could say that the trail that you have there that points you to your next thing might be too much, and certainly in some games it is. But it was refreshing to see that this was a JRPG that kind of let you explore the world and didn't make you kind of get lost in its own systems and menus and just world, right?
Out of curiosity, on the Wii, did this game use motion controls in any way?
If it did, I never would have engaged with those. I think even on Wii, I had like the what was it?
Classic controller.
Classic controller, yeah. But I got to about 4/5 of way through on Wii, then kind of stopped playing, and by the time I decided to pick it up again, the Switch was announced. The version was announced.
I gotta say, I love how you can. I love in games where there is a story reminder for if you are picking up the game for the first time in a while and you can't remember what happened last time. You can bring up this little, Shulk and Rain have managed to fight off their assailant. Blah 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 blah. That's something where I feel like I've seen that in one game or another for going on 20 years now. I think the first time I saw it was actually in one of the Pokemon games. And I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't become more commonplace or more of like a standard in games these days, because especially with the size of games, people can take massive breaks between entries or between sessions, and anything you can have that reminds people what they're doing and helps them get back to what they need to be doing is handy.
Yeah, it is helpful in that case, but even just here, right? Even as you're playing the game already, there's literally a button for that. And considering this is an open, sandbox-based game, I guess it's not technically open world, not fully. So if you open the map, you can see that it's quite large, even this initial area. I think there's like a button for it, the dedicated button for the map.
Yeah, what is it? Oh gosh, if you can't change the button layout. Oh, controls. No.
I think.
Oh, okay. It's clicking down the left stick for some reason. Strange. Yeah, I can't. I don't know if I can pan around it, but looks like a decent size. I am impressed that they got this running on the Wii. This would have been really impressive for the time.
Oh yeah.
Like even with upgraded Switch visuals to just do maps of this size.
I mean, let's just be clear. It looked god awful on Wii, especially the models. They looked barely human, but the size and the environments, they're all there. They were like that in the Wii version. So yeah, it was a large game. I think back then, I remember people like, "Wow, how did they get this on the Wii? How did they manage?"
Here we are. I better stop in at HQ. Yeah, when I've sold any parts I can't use.
All right. See you later.
Yep. And you can trade with people. Okay.
So here, one of the interesting things about this game is how they handle villages and settlements. They have the whole relationship system, and actually, I liked it so much because the NPCs here not only
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
not only do they have their own kind of mini storylines, you can develop relationships between Shulk and them, and then them between each other. So let's say if there's a guy who doesn't like that other guy, and you help that other guy, suddenly he doesn't like you. Or then if there's two friends and you help one of them, they both like you and they like each other. And there's actually so much so that they have a whole system with chart. If you go to the menu, there should be where is it? Maybe it's on the map screen. Don't remember where it is, but there's like the whole chart that they provide for you, and to see a relationship. There's also a relationship between Shulk and everyone else in the party as well, so you can develop those.
Cool. I love that they've just taken a person and scaled them down to like a radical size, like chest height on Shulk. I don't know.
Is that what you think they did?
There's something kind of funny about the proportions. It doesn't feel like they made a child model. It feels like they just scaled down like an adult model. It's fine. It's fine. It's a good shortcut. Just, yeah, there's something a little off about it.
I mean, Shulk is like, I don't know, 15 or something. He's not.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's worth maybe, let's do like one side quest here, and then we'll move on with the story. We don't need to do more than that. There's a guy with a side quest.
Collect some collectibles. This is exciting stuff. So what do I...
So you can also set them as active, you know, the usual things you would expect.
Yeah. 2 rabbit diodes. Exciting stuff. This is like the every MMO side quest. Collect 10 wolf pelts for 5 gold or something.
Yeah, this game definitely was in bed with certain MMO tropes and systems and kind of flow.
This is what you do to get it advertised on the back of the box that you have, 200 hours of content or whatever, right? The chain attack. I can't do that yet.
No, you can kind of do some sort of like a group attack with the other party members depending on certain requirements. Oh, you're gonna die. You're dead.
Yeah, no shit, Serge.
You know you have a healing spell.
I got killed by a bunny outside of town.
Well, welcome to JRPGs.
They certainly look less ferocious than those slugs. Looks like there's no penalty, though.
I guess you've done the quest. You just need 2 of those things. Or
Did I collect 2 things?
well, you can check your quest log. No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Why isn't it showing you where to go this time? Are you tracking it? You should track it.
It says it's active. I mean, let me just try it again and not aggro a crowd of them.
I mean, it's a level 2 bunny. Surely it should be fine to attack it.
I'm level 3, so
Yeah.
no excuse. He's kicking my ass.
So some of these skills, I think, split edge. Yeah, actually, it literally says there if you do it from like the side.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Wow, this level 2 bunny is like kicking your ass.
What am I doing wrong? I gotta flee. Oh.
Now it shows the thing again.
I don't think I'm ready to fight the bunnies. Oh, I could do casual mode. Let's not.
Okay, let's see if we can do a different quest. There's one on the left.
Hello.
It's fighting again though. I mean, most of these will be some kind of fighting.
Yeah.
Or gathering. Gathering should be doable anyway because it's just going out there and finding a thing.
Maybe I should do the main quest first.
Yeah, I guess you could. I think you might get Ryan back in your party, and then you should be able to get that bunny, your arch nemesis.
So if I have nothing set as active, then I'm assuming.
Well, in that case, the main quest is that red flag. I think that's where you need to go.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Oh, okay. Ah, that's the nice map. Yep. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so villagers here, or just any NPC in any town, have their own schedules as well, with day and night cycle. So you'll find them in certain places during the day, and then they'll just go back home at night. They're really
quite
kind
ambitious.
they spend time making sure that the places you visit and do quests in are like lived in and feel organic. And I just can't say enough praise about the NPC relationship system. It really kind of makes it interesting to even kind of pay attention to random villages and towns you find.
The story and gameplay revolve a lot around these villages and the people in them.
In a side quest type of way, yes. The main quest never kind of hinges on that, but side quests, yes.
Sorry, sir. It's just that we were trying to go as fast as we could, like you ordered. But it's...
I mean, here we have, this wouldn't have been an edge RPG without some sort of cringe moments.
Yeah, this stuff makes me think about how you can kind of get away with this on PS1 because there wasn't any voice acting and it was just a little sprite or a little low poly model that's flipping around. And I think this stuff gets a little harder to pull off the higher fidelity the experience gets.
Yeah, that's true, but I'll say this is there are very few and far between.
Like I think about Xenogears sometimes and how I thought it was such a great game. Very, very ambitious. I respect it a lot for its ambition, maybe more so than its execution. But I also think sometimes about, did I just play it at the right time in my life? Like, how well would it hold up now if I was to play it?
Yeah, I guess that's true for anything, right?
Particularly in the writing department.
Yeah, if we bring back a lot of PS1 era games today and give them a lot of budget with voice acting and stuff, what will that look like? Actually, on that topic, the newly announced Star Ocean 2 R looks... I had a bit of that where when I saw how much effort and money they spend on making the 2.5D out of that game with like elaborate backgrounds and 3D, and then you see the actual models and they're still pixel art. And it's not like Xenogears situation where it's like pixel art 2D sprites over 3D backgrounds. Back then, for Xenogears, the backgrounds also they were 3D, but they still looked kind of PS1 appropriate. But this time around, it's like really polished, high fidelity 2.5D with like those old sprites. This looks, I don't know, a bit jarring.
Yeah, I've got a real bone to pick about a lot of that stuff. Like even HD remasters, where they might put the sprite work through a filter to smooth out the pixely look, or if it's something where you've got 3D environments and 2D backgrounds, the 3D environments get rendered at a higher resolution, but you still got the chunky pixels, and it just looks inconsistent. You know, having a low fidelity sprite work and then high fidelity 3D environments, or even things where you've got the old art, then you have shiny new UI that's really slick. I think it looks better when the UI is at that same resolution as the old content.
Yeah, I usually treat it case by case basis. I think I will still play, of course, the Star Ocean remake. I'm looking forward to that game actually. It's just from all the video and trailers I've seen, looked definitely interesting.
The going back to the Xenogears thing too, I should clarify that even if I was to go back, play Xenogears and admit the writing isn't very good, I don't think that's to take away from my enjoyment of it, because even if the writing isn't good, and I'm not saying that it is or isn't, because I haven't played that game since I was like 16 or something. The game's so ambitious, it's so cool. It's allowed to trip over itself a bit along the way. I think when you are trying to tackle that many things at once, I've got a lot of respect for that. And you know, if the game looks great, sounds great, if the combat's good, if the gameplay's good, and if it accomplishes its high-level goals, even if some of the dialogue isn't very good or the pacing isn't great along the way, that stuff isn't that important to me.
Don't look like that. I haven't come yet. Shock.
So we're tying it all in with the intro. Cool.
Yeah, so this Monado blade was used by Dunban here when he was fighting the forces of Mechanis. Mechanis is the huge, mech-based god robot thing, and Bionis is the god mech or god that where people live. So you are now on Bionis, and sometimes like Mechanis sends his forces to invade Bionis. That's like the basic premise. Obviously, it gets way more complicated than that pretty quickly. And this Monado blade is the only blade that can actually damage the Mechanis forces. That's why it's so important.
Because when you put the blade on the box art and you put the blade on the title screen, the players just instinctually understand the importance.
Yeah, and actually, it's they really take it far to a point where you literally cannot attack Mechanis forces unless it's Shulk or unless he does a buff on everyone. In that case, they can attack it. So let's say if Shulk dies and your party still has to face like a Mechon enemy, you're shit out of luck. You're dead essentially.
Wow. That's a neat mechanic. I mean, some RPGs will just game over if you don't have the protagonist alive. So it's a more interesting penalty in some ways.
Yeah, in this game you can revive each other through just approaching them and pressing a button. I think.
You didn't have to bring it yourself. You could have just called me.
Don't be silly. Do you want me to feed you?
Don't treat me like an invalid. I'm better than I was a year ago.
Much better. I really thought I lost you back then.
Yes, but now I'm almost well enough to handle the Monado again.
Dunban, don't say that. The Mechon have gone now. Oh, why would you say that?
I just mean I'm prepared. Sorry.
Okay. More importantly, eat up before it gets cold. I made something really special today.
How long is this game?
It's a full-on I think I broke the clock on the 99 plus hours, I think, for me, but I did everything. I think, comfortably, man, 60 hours probably at least.
Okay.
Like, it does have a lot of like, hunting challenges, like special elite monsters you could kill. Each location has side quests, NPCs have things for you to do. If you just beeline the story, I don't know, maybe you can do it in like 40 hours or something, but you will be, at some point you will be underleveled for certain things.
Do you have any specific feelings about how Takahashi styles evolved across these Xeno games?
Well, it's just that as much as he had so much tenacity and like perseverance in terms of trying to tell the same story, right? But at the same time, he was the one that ended up making a game that actually absorbed some of the Western RPG design philosophies, and to his credit, right? This game in Operation Rainfall ended up being the most popular one, and I think the success of this game in particular allowed Monolith Soft to even get to Xenoblade X, Xenoblade 2 and 3 now.
Really?
I just sent him out to get some fresh air.
Outlet Park.
I think, like, tonally, maybe this game is quite a bit of a departure from like Xenogears, something, and even Xenosaga is a really kind of a darker experience.
Yeah, more serious. Yeah.
So this was quite a bit of a different kind of take, and just like tonally, visually even, right? A lot more. Like, I don't think we'll get to that part in this hour we have, but the second zone you visit is like open fields, like a really catchy music playing. You're jumping around, you're fighting all sorts of enemies. It has this kind of like almost. I haven't played Zelda Breath of the Wild, but it's literally like you're running in these open fields, almost like you're Link or something. Everything is open for you. You do what you want, kind of stuff. It's very different from something like Saga. I mean, Xenogears, you had a bunch of freedom at some point with your ship, but still, like, this game has no ship for you. You will just be running around. And you can see here, you can pick up stuff just on in the field. They're just represented as these blobs, and you can just pick them up as you run. You just gather a lot of them, and it's so clever. Like, they encourage you to just run at them, right? You just run and pick up a lot of stuff as you run. It's just almost like rewarding your exploration, just your steps, literally.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe more than other RPGs that Takahashi's games really try to sell the fantasy of playing an anime? Between the visuals, some of the writing, the humor, even some things like people compare Xenogears to Evangelion a lot, and even maybe moving away to something more original, but something more clearly inspired by anime tropes.
Yeah, I think you could say that. Honestly, as much as I am a purist of JRPGs, maybe I think a lot of JRPG developers or would-be developers probably should be looking at what Tetsuya Takahashi did here, and maybe that is one of the ways to bring JRPGs into modern day and make people play it, and make people still care about them, right? That's not the only way probably, but it's a good way. It was a good attempt. People love this game. It's a beloved game. Became a beloved game. So he definitely did something right.
Maybe you could argue that this is a more successful reevaluation of the JRPG than what Square Enix does in order to try to court a larger Western audience.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I will die on a hill of saying that ATB has its place. Turn-based has its place, right? You can explore those systems in a successful way. But that's not the only thing maybe you should concentrate on. Maybe you have other angles you can work with to make a JRPG interesting.
I'd know for sure you had no sense of taste.
What?
Oh, nothing. the breeze feels so good.
Yeah.
I can't get over how much better their faces look on the Switch version than the Wii version.
It must have. I'm assuming there wasn't any lip syncing in the original version.
I think there was that type of like a 2D mouth kind of movement thing.
Flat texture moving.
Yeah, but even just the faces themselves, they look like they were being crushed by low poly.
So this is a pretty lavish remake. I mean, it is a full remake, even if the changes are immediately noticeable. This must have had a budget and everything. You know, Nintendo is serious about pushing this franchise.
Yeah, and in fact, like I was mentioning before, this added a whole epilogue.
Right, yeah.
Where they very oddly, look, I don't know why they did that, and I haven't played the second one yet, so maybe there's a connection there, but they literally added an epilogue with a cliffhanger, and you play a whole new map with Shulk and another character that you meet later, and they go on a major quest line, and then they encounter a thing that apparently is a thing in Xenoblade 2. But the thing is, Xenoblade 2 was already out by then. So it was really weird. It wasn't like a bridge. It was like Xenoblade 2 was out, and then this came out, and then it's connection to a game that's already out. So it's a bit weird. Maybe they're planning on something much more in the future, connection there.
Well, three's already out, right? So
well, 3 wasn't out when that DLC was out, so 3 was not a thing yet back then.
I'm sure what they're thinking is so many people got into the franchise with 2 because 2 was an early standout Switch title, and they haven't played. A lot of people haven't played the first one, so let's give them the first one under the assumption that they must have already played the second.
By the way, you can. I think you can take this bunny now. Surely, with the both of you.
I think so.
Yes, nice. You can change who you control at any time. Just go into menu and switch the position, and you can. I mean, you might as well control her for now, Fiora. But yeah, like whoever is in the leader is the one you control.
Okay. Yeah, let's check out her abilities.
She's the the rogue of the party, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, so those handshake icons is where you have these kind of one-to-one conversations with your party members, depending who you bring, and then you develop their relationship like that. Actually, can you go into the menu where they show that chart, just to show off that? It's party quest. Yeah, so colony. Click on that. No, wait.
What? Yeah, I can see there's 2 of the icons. That one and that one.
No,
Oh, and that
yeah,
one.
no, yeah. I mean, in the actual menu, there's like a chart in the menus somewhere. It shows the relationship. Go to party, maybe.
That just does this.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe they show that later. It's fine.
There was a tutorial thing that spoke about it. Let's see. Let's try this. I think it's interesting that you have a mini map, you have an expanded map, and you have a dedicated map screen with a ton of different info. They are serious about helping players find their way. Oh, so I need to level up the relationship before I can do something here?
No, if you click on that again, it'll show you that you don't have the party members that actually would participate in this.
Okay.
It's fine.
Interesting.
It would just be like a conversation cutscene. Sometimes it's like a maybe mini quest or like a really quick thing.
That's cool though. More games need to do stuff like this. You know, I played the single player for Call of Duty World War II a few months ago, and it is a bog standard Call of Duty campaign, which is I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But there was a mechanic where your AI partners have abilities, just tossing you health packs and tossing you ammo. And when you do things like save them during firefights, it fills up their meter that lets you call on them during fights for ammo and health packs. It's the most simple interaction between characters. But that kind of stuff does so much to build a relationship between you and people in the world. I wish more, like, there's so much untapped potential for that kind of stuff in games.
Yeah, and also what this does is make you revisit previous locations, actually. So then you remember, oh, okay, this had like a one-to-one with these characters, and once you get them, you can come back here.
Pikachu. You know, in Xenogears, I remember being amazed that you could walk around and rotate the camera while people were talking to you. You actually can't do that in this game.
Yeah.
You can jump though. That's pretty sick.
Oh yeah, you'll be jumping a lot in this game. There's a lot of like traversal, getting to ledges, jumping over things.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Actually, this reminds me, there's quite a lot of things like, oh, there's like a thing on that mountaintop thing. How do I get there? And then you start looking around, searching your way up there. Like you're playing a Skyrim or something.
Oh no. Oh, she's fine.
Yes, it doesn't damage humans.
Goodness.
Oh, Fiora, are you okay?
I'm fine.
It's broken.
What? What do you mean it's broken? Don't you care about me? I could have died.
You're not hurt, are you? The Monado can't cut people. More importantly, what were you thinking, Brian?
Sorry, I came to ask a favour, but you weren't here. And I saw the Monado and...
I know I'm here a lot, but even I need fresh air sometimes. Is your body still feeling numb? We have to be very careful with the Monado. It's not a toy.
I know, man. I just wanted to touch it. Didn't know it would do that.
You know, like friendship of Shulk and Ryan is actually kind of, you know, was well done here. I would say, yeah, it reminded me of Final Fantasy XV actually, where, oh, look at these, you know, memeable guys, bros, but actually by the end of the game you're like, you know what, it was a bit of a genuine thing there, like the friendship and the connection they had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just like anime, even if the dialogue isn't always the most efficient or the best, even if characters are simple archetypes, sometimes simple is fine. Sometimes simple relationships done right are all you need for players to resonate with them.
Yeah, and actually they are presented like that, and for the most part they are, but they have moments of kind of breaking away from that. Not everything is like perfect with these guys, and they go through bumps, and that's why actually ends up being genuine.
Look at you, worthless without the Monado.
Until I've scrapped each and every one of you!
So, of course, I want to get my revenge.
Citra's been setting up a lot of good mysteries that leave you wanting more, that keep you interested in continuing to play the game.
Yeah, actually, I think it's worth pushing forward with the story, and I think we have time to get to that second area I was talking about, because it's really nice. You don't need to do all the, like, a lot of side quests will, you know, can be done later, and you are strong enough to continue the game anyway, for the most part.
A feeling like time had stopped, and then
Time had stopped.
So, was it only me who saw that?
That sounds strange. Is it another Monado thing?
Who knows? Anyway, no matter how good a sword it is, that's what happens when you hold it. Looks like Dunban really is the only one who can use it.
I won't let my brother use it ever again. Not after what it did to him.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
Anyway, the point is I'm fine. To be honest, this has happened a few times before. I've been researching the Monado for a long time.
Shulk, don't act as if this is nothing.
Look, don't worry about it. Anyway, Ryan, what did you want to ask me about?
Oh, yeah. Old Squaretash has gone and put me on punishment duty. Fancy tagging along?
Punishment?
Ryan isn't that bad. He's not like he's not as dense as like Waka.
Whether he hit me is neither here nor there, really. Although, actually, he did end up hitting me.
You want to talk awesome dubs? Talk Final Fantasy X.
Oh man.
Yeah. And now I have to go all the way to the Magmel ruins and back.
No, yeah, I forgot. We won't get to that second area because we have to go to these ruins. Well, that's fine.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. It's good. We will experience like you know, a normal, a usual dungeon of this game.
Yeah. I mean, this is here's an event that can move the story forward. But first, we gotta fuel up in this totally unrelated dungeon.
Right? I heard that there's a male lizard nest there. I couldn't take it if anything happened to Shulk. He's delicate. Not like you, Ryan.
This is one has to wonder if you could make a game like this. And well, I mean, some of RPGs exist that are a much shorter length, like 20 or 30 hours or so. But what if you had one where every dungeon or every major event, like there wasn't any filler, there wasn't any fat to trim, everything moved the story forward?
I mean, technically you are doing that right now, right? Like maybe you've done like one quest, but for the most part you're doing the main story. And I guess I've not tried that in this game, but I want to say you maybe could even do that here. Like, there's so many systems helping you, and party members and equipment that you could potentially kind of play the system in a way that you wouldn't need to do side quests and just do the story.
Well, isn't this dungeon thing that I'm doing part of the main story?
Yeah, it is. So it's technically the main story stuff, right? And you will kind of level
even
up there.
Even though it's the main story, is it really important to the main story?
Well, I mean, you need to power thing, right? Like, it's not exciting thing, but it is part of the, you know, Ryan is being punished. So there you go.
I guess what I mean is, before the show we were talking about Planescape Torment, and I feel like, off the top of my head, I think everything that you do in Planescape Torment moves the story forward meaningfully in some way.
You know what? I played it quite some time ago. I'm not prepared to say if that game had or didn't have side quests, but I think it actually did have side quests.
Oh, it has many side quests, but everything you do in the main quest is relevant. There's no point where they say,
right,
oh, we got to get over there, but first we have to get through this bit, and then you do like a whole 2-hour detour or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would even be able to compare these two games. They are what, like RPGs, both of them, but that's pretty much the only kind of vague similarity. You know, we could say, I don't know, Uncharted is everything you do in Uncharted is moving the story along, right? But it's, you know.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to see someone make one of these RPGs without the extra padding. I mean, like it's fine. Like these games need a ton of time to build up a party and build up an interesting combat system and things like that. But it'd be great if there wasn't. It'd be great to play one and potentially the main quest is all lean, you know?
Well, I guess they had the sandboxes, right? That's something we talked about when we were playing, or what we were talking about in Mass Effect Andromeda, right? You know, they had these sandbox maps, and they had to have something on them, because otherwise you might as well not have them. If you just need to, you know, fight some bunnies at the start, get to the village, do some stuff here, and then move on, then obviously the entirety of this sandbox is not necessary. Like, you would just be running around doing nothing there. I don't know what came first, the sandboxes or the desire to have stuff, but you know, one of them was born out of the other. So, and if you open the map, you can see that you haven't even opened the entirety of this in starting area. There's stuff around.
Sure. Just I'm wondering. I'm trying to find someone I can trade with.
Oh, yeah, I think you'll not get that at night.
Oh, okay.
So
Is there a way I can advance time quickly?
yes, I think from the pause menu, or from the change time. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yep.
The shopkeepers there have their own icons, so you can see one over there.
Did they now?
Yeah, right next to that. Yeah, here.
That?
Well, not the exclamation mark, the other
What?
icon. No. Next to so you see there's exclamation mark there, down there.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought that meant they had a side quest.
No. It is no. You have to turn around. Do 180. Yeah, keep going there.
Yeah. Oh, this mountain shape with an exclamation
yeah,
point
yeah.
through it. Oh, it's a tent. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, yeah, you should be able to buy something for Shulk and Rhine.
I'm sure. I mean, the game was just kind of saying that I should stock up on stuff before I head out.
Buying a weapon first is a good idea for both of them.
You think a weapon's more important than a piece of armor?
I think so.
Can I not equip Fiora? Stuff?
You can buy stuff for her, and she will, once you have her. I think she might be joining you. Like it's one of those like, oh, you don't forget me, and then she joins you. I think.
Okay. Just can Shulk just not? Okay, no, those aren't for him.
Yeah, those knives are for Fiora.
Okay, so they only sold stuff for Rhine. So I need to find someone else. A different vendor, perhaps. I only have one vendor.
That's fine. Just get stuff from this guy, and you should be fine. Look,
Yeah, I'll get everyone's.
Spoiler alert: Shulk will be using Monado soon, so.
Yeah, makes sense. Ether defense. That's probably magic defense.
Yeah, but you don't have 8K though for that.
Yeah. 2,700. Let's get everyone some battle gear.
Nice.
Shulk does the anime thing where he rests his hands behind his head.
So this game has equipment, and you can slot in kind of like passive things to them to kind of customize the way you fight, kind of like a jump system from Diablo. Actually, and everything shows up on you.
Wow, that is shocking. That never happens in JRPGs. I always figured it's because they spent all this time designing these characters, and what's the point of designing a character to sully them with a bunch of armor?
Yeah, right. I mean, it does feel like everything new that this game shows you kind of like is like a mini surprise, right? And that continues.
Yeah.
Actually, you should go to the arts section in the menu to maybe level up your couple of your arts.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So you can set them, and then you can level up.
Yeah, so you only have that amount of slots there that it shows, and you'll have more abilities than you can equip. So you'll have to choose.
Not quite ready to upgrade anything.
No, go to the skill tree section, see what's there. So this is like passive abilities you can also set. They depend on relationships between characters, and you can then kind of earn them from that.
Ah. Okay. Let's.
I think you already have,
Yeah.
what you have for now.
Yeah.
But here as well, you only have a certain amount of SP, I think it's called, and then you have to like choose which ones you want, and through that and arts and equipment, you do your builds. And you need them because there's certainly in the side quests, there's a lot of hard monsters to beat and tough enemies.
Character builds are something that is relatively new to JRPGs, I feel. Like in the past, there would be a ton of thought going into your character in terms of spells that they learn or equipment or things like that. But ability points and like skill trees is something that I feel like I didn't see too much back when this came out. But now a lot of games, I mean, even the new Dragon Quest has a skill system, skill points.
Yeah.
Let's fight an enemy. Whoops.
So that thing was initiative. So if you hit that, you would get a first strike. And this game, unlike for example something like Final Fantasy 16 even, in this game your allies have a lot of agency and kind of they're important in the fights, right? If you are down, for example, like I mentioned before, they will attempt to revive you. Like they'll stop what they're doing and come to you and revive you. If it's like a healer, they will heal you. If you can make them set up for you to attack. You see those icons? I think that one is like a paralysis or something, and you can combine different skills for like added effect. So if someone is paralyzed, then you can, if you do like some sort of metal attack, they'll do more damage, for example. Sometimes Ryan will stun them, and Shulk can go behind them and do his backstab move. And when Ryan does that, he will shout, "Hey, like, they're stunned," or something else. So it has all of those elements add to like this. It's sometimes a problem with JRPGs. These things allow make you not fall asleep in battle in this game, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be just holding one button to just attack. And I appreciate
like
that.
The mountain path takes you up above the village. You get this nice vista from where you've come, which is always a satisfying feeling.
Yeah, and get this, you can jump down and you'll be fine.
Oh well.
And you can swim as well and go. I don't think you can go underwater, but you can swim for sure.
I'm coming along as well. I'd feel better going with you boys than sitting at home worrying about you. So, let's get moving.
I knew she didn't trust me.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it's interesting how. Oh, we got a whole party here. Yeah.
Shulk looks like a dummy with that helmet.
Yep.
So these chain attacks here, once that symbol appears, chain attack icon, you can do like a powerful move.
Where was this guy before? Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's interesting how a lot of this seems to take inspiration from Final Fantasy XII, but whereas the gambits in FF12 felt like a lot of busy work and setup to automate everything for you, this seems to strike a nice balance where your party members work on their own, they function on their own, in a meaningful way in combat. They feel important.
Yeah.
Cool. So this eye means it's seen me?
I think it means they will attack you on sight.
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
could still technically avoid them. There's actually this cave is where you can definitely choose to avoid certain enemies and not fight them.
Okay.
There's those exclamation marks appear on those abilities. That means that you are in a position to take advantage of their special effects.
Oh, I'm dying.
Oh, heal yourself.
This game doesn't mess around.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Oh, I'm dead.
I know I can.
Yeah. Shulk even has at some point he'll have reducing aggro ability, because once he gets it, he's not a tank at the end of the day. He really isn't. So
Let's make her look silly too.
yeah, this is maybe one of the similarities to MMOs some people might not like, is that you have to pay attention to your characters and what their status is. If they are like being destroyed, you have to like back out, heal, re-engage. You can't just be standing around there.
I think that's cool. I would want that in every JRPG, but then there's a lot of them where most of the non-boss encounters feel like something where you can just kind of zone out in. And like I was alluding to earlier with Dragon Quest, I think that's fine. Like I think there's value in having just a chill out game, but yeah. I also think it's cool when you got a game where holy crap, she's dead, I'm about to die. And it's just a random mob.
So I think a good advice here would be to just see who Ryan is attacking and then just help him, because he will hold that aggro. So then he's attacking that one, just go behind that bunny and just...
Oh, he's gonna die too. Oh! That affects the affinity. Nice.
Yeah.
Clever. Oh, no.
Wow, I don't... Man, this was not that hard for me. Maybe I misremember how difficult this game was.
Maybe you did some side quests in town.
I must have, but the levels are appropriate. Like you are all of you are one level up over these bunnies. Just try to wait for Ryan to get some aggro, and if he is like getting destroyed, just heal him up a bit and then come in with Shulk.
And can I change? I can level up someone's art now.
I mean, if anything, you should level up the heal.
Heal, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Ryan should have some aggro building abilities if you have any points with him. So which one?
There you go. Draws aggro. Let's let him.
That's the one.
Let's let him do that. I think he's gonna go for that one.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah. You should heal Fiona. Fiona.
Oh yeah. Oh. I think it's cool how the affinity stuff affects the battles. That's something where I guess there's a bit of that in Persona 5, but it's one of these things you see it. It's like that's a pretty simple system. How are other games not doing this? How's like every game of the party not having stuff like this?
Yeah, this game definitely takes that system seriously and builds up over the entirety of the game.
I also see this as one of those games that pretty much heals you back to full after every fight. So
no, it doesn't. You are almost dead with Fiora at least.
What do you mean? They're at max health.
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
Oh. What do you mean?
Oh wait, no, they are. Huh.
Yeah, I watched my health, but your health bar refills very, very fast outside of fights.
Ah, yeah,
So
that
this
is
one
good.
of those games, like a lot of RPGs, it's like a battle of attrition against the dungeon. Enemies, a group of enemies, or waves of encounters will slowly chip away at your health, right? And so the battles usually aren't life and death. It's more about like longer term, like potions and stockpiling resources and things like that. Whereas this is one of those games where they can let like, holy shit, I'm already I've already lost half my health.
Yeah, you can't be snoozing around here. Like first of all, you have to engage as well. If you notice, until you draw your weapon, you're not actually fighting them.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's any battle can be a battle of life and death because you can always heal up afterwards for free. Doesn't seem there's any penalty for reviving people either. Holy crap. Oh no. Oh yeah. Whoops, nope. Oh shoot. Oh boy. I don't think we're getting through this cave. And do the enemies respawn? Oh.
You should be able to just avoid these. Well, maybe not these three, but like later on, you should just be able to just beeline to your to the quest objective.
Yeah. The game was saying, hey, don't forget about that big town that you only explored half of. The game's saying there were so many side quests, there was all this stuff you could buy in the shops. I think that's all right to encourage. It's one way you can heavily encourage the player to explore some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I wonder what they were thinking when they were designing this, and were they thinking, hey, we need to make sure that we punish people who don't grind, or were they thinking, hey, we need to make sure people engage with our party stuff and characters in combat? I think it's probably the later. Like if you manage the combat and characters properly, you would be fine, right? Like Ryan is the tank, and Shulk and Fiora are like your DPS, and then they have to be careful.
Certainly sets the tone for the game. I didn't expect this to be a hard game.
I think you can run past these because they're just passive.
Do I need to go up there?
I don't think so. No.
No.
Oh, careful with this guy. It's like a mini boss here, actually. I now remember. Don't attack him. Try to hug the wall with these guys. Maybe they won't aggro. There you go.
So you can see how this is an interesting level layout where you have all these extra paths. You've got an enemy that you have to fight that is like guarding other areas. They could potentially have loot and things.
Yes, they definitely. It's not. Some areas are better than others, but they do pay attention to interesting level layouts and environments in this game. I have to give props to them.
Are these the Magmel ruins?
Haven't you been here before?
Nope.
The Defense Force often uses it for training, but I come here to do research. It's not really a place that people go.
Not surprising. There are monsters around here that use Mechon parts as armor.
Was this built by the Mechon?
I don't think so. There's a path for people to get in. It might have been
Like the Defense Force hover transports.
A vehicle? But it's so big.
It's amazing technology. I wonder what kind of people made it.
I ain't got a clue.
Let's keep moving. The ether cylinders are up ahead.
Right.
Fast travel. Nice, cool. I think this has been a solid sampler.
Wow, you're destroying this level 7 bunny. Look at that. Nice. Working as a team.
It seems to be about crowd control.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, this is actually, now I remember, this reminded me so much of an MMO as well in that regard. I think they probably took more inspiration from MMO than I probably realized even. How much of like positioning, how much of aggro control that this game has, right?
Again, makes sense for if you're going to adapt the turn-based combat system to full 3D environment. And you can save anywhere. That's a nice convenience that, again, you just don't get in every JRPG.
I think it's one of those kind of semi-fake save everywhere. Like you can save anywhere, but then if you load, it'll choose some sort of internal checkpoint and it put you there. But yes,
let's try that real quick. Let's see, Xenoblade Chronicles. Oh, interesting game. I liked it more than I was expecting, actually.
Yeah, it did. And I think it's safe to say that it has surprises that people don't realize about it. And
as you see, it felt very modern.
Oh, actually, same place.
They respawn enemies. Just a little rude, but
yeah.
Well, you can't pause the game when you're getting attacked, so I'm probably gonna die here. But yeah, I'm not gonna say that I'm super into the story or the art style yet or anything like that, but yeah, as I said, I was surprised at how much I liked it and how much respect I've got for what it's doing. It's doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, I just want to kind of emphasize the way that they spend a lot of time on world building. Like even the first area is so huge and you can explore so much of it. We had to push into the story here because we have an hour, but playing it normally, you would probably, as soon as you have control, you can just explore the entire of that area. You can swim, you can find caves, you can find enemies to fight, obviously side quests to do, and story to explore and enjoy, and then you move on to the next area and kind of it's seamless and because the world is so alien, like the characters are living on Bionis, this huge mech god. The places that you visit are so insanely creative. Like at some point you go to the ocean and actually the ocean is like the top head of Bionis, and it's like you can see its top crown and like helmet sticking out, and it's really impressive.
No surprise this game garnered a huge following.
Yeah, it's an awesome game. I think we should choose the games for next one then. Right, actually next time we'll be moving away from JRPGs for next episode, and I will want you to play Transformers War for Cybertron. Awesome game, but more than that, a sad story of a studio that we'll explore next episode and what happened to them.
I think for next time, I'm gonna have you play one of my favorite games, a game that many people point to as one of the early games that people saw as a piece of art, but also just an excellent action game in its own right, and that is Rez by Sega.
Not to be confused with Fez, right?
Very different from Fez.
Okay.
Rez, this is an action game that combines music into the experience.
I was gonna ask, is this a music game?
Not in the sense of Guitar Hero or something like that. It's a lot more than something like that. So we'll get into it next time.
All right, sounds good. In that case, that'll be it from us, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.